We are live.
Hi, welcome to News and Nonsense at Noon. I'm Auntie AK, aka Akizzle, aka a queer Jamfi, the auntie of all the aunties in the whole wide world. And I'm here with.
I am Nana, aka the Black Fairy, aka Dark and Lovely.
And my guys, we're here because the world is literally going to hell in a handbasket. It really is. I wonder if we actually have got to hell yet. I'm not sure. Some people think we're living hell on earth as it is right
Yeah.
now. This is hell and heaven somewhere else.
Mhm.
Whatever. Anyway, because of the situation that we're in, we thought we'd bring you the news our way. We're going to dig through all the news and nonsense out there to give you our take on it. We're here to help you separate the wheat from the chaff, the sack from the crap, what you need to know from what you don't need to know. Discard it. It's not important. But before we do all of that, Nana, what do they need to do?
You guys need to book the like button on entry, please, and subscribe to our channel. We are just 45 people away from our first 10K. So please make that happen while we are on this live. That would be amazing. You can also sign up to our YouTube membership, which is $1.99 to support us, or $4.99, and you get access to our WhatsApp community, our monthly lives, and also a whole load of extra content as well. Please sign up. I will drop the link in the chat immediately. And hello to Instagram. If you want to get involved in the conversation, come over to YouTube and enter the chat. Thank you.
Farah, unfortunately, is not feeling well, so she is with us in spirit, and she would tell you to. Oh, you've already said like, comment, and subscribe. You did all of that bit.
Yes.
So yes, but big up Auntie Farah. She's not feeling too good, and she'll be with us hopefully next week. By the way, as I always have to say, this is our disclaimer, and I like giving you this disclaimer because I want nobody, and I mean nobody, to come for us because we will come for you. These are just our opinions. We are not experts. This is the ultimate aunties WhatsApp group. The cool one. We're not like the crazy aunties. We're the cool ones, but it's treated like that. If you want actuals and factuals, ask TLC, Google, or phone a friend. Any links that we share for you to go and do your own darned research yourselves. I'll provide you links. You go and do it. You make your own opinions. Do not say that our opinions are law. Don't want no suing, no nothing, no nothing. Thank you, please.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, folks.
Who's in the chat? Who's in the chat? Who's in the chat?
We have, I'm seeing moderators are with us today. All right, we have Cher came in bright and early and was also telling you guys about our road to 10K. Thank you so much. We have Will Smith Goat 2 in the house. We have Buddy Gang.
Welcome, Buddy.
In ages. Lady Lyrics is with us as well. We have C in the house. We have Yvonne White in the house with us. We have
5 bones. Thank you, Kevin, aka Mr. K. Hello, Auntie. Just wondering, did you get my latest email of the recommended Pan-African channels? We did? Okay.
We did get it. Yes. Thank you so much, Kevin. I did peruse through a couple of them. Thank you. It may come in handy when we have another Pan-Africanist on. You never know. Maybe Dr. Umar.
we're reaching out for Dr. Umar. We need to have that fun.
We need to have that convo with Dr. Umar. Let's see. Yeah. But thank you. We have Sora in the house. We have JOK with us as well. And we have Fashioned for Crime. Thank you so much.
Hello. All right, guys, there's a lot to get through. And we're having a hard out at 2, so don't try it. We are harding out at 2, okay?
Yes, we have places to be today. We're out and about.
Stuff. Yeah, we're outside tonight. This afternoon, I should say. All right, guys. So look, first story that's kicking off, everybody, is that digital ID is to be required for work in the UK. Our Prime Minister Saki Stalmer has confirmed plans to introduce a mandatory digital ID for anyone wanting to work in the UK. So the scheme is designed to curb illegal working and strengthen border security, but has already sparked political and public debate over privacy, data security, and exclusion. Let me line up the video. Now you can get first reactions.
Okay, my word. Yes. So, I mean, this isn't the first time that they've tried to do this, and hopefully this won't go through, but it has zero to do with immigration. Hopefully that will be explained in the videos and as we go through it. I was watching somebody react to this, actually going over biblical verses and the mark of the beast, when I used to be in that space a bit more, but it brought me back to this, in effect, could turn into the mark of the beast, which also is the end of the world. So let's see how we get on.
It's definitely the end of the world as we know it. That's what's happening. And sometimes, with the metaphors and the things that we've grown up hearing, thinking that literally, we'll get into some other stuff, literally that one day we're going to wake up and the world will be gone. It's not necessarily that. It's the state of being that we so used to disappearing, and a new state of being. That could also be the metaphor.
Yeah.
Anyway, here we go.
Breaking news now. Digital ID will be made law for all adults in an effort to tackle small boats. Downing Street believes that a mandatory ID card system will help stop illegal immigrants working. Let's bring in our political correspondent, Mari Aurora. Mari, what more do we know about this?
Yeah, well, Gareth, this is interesting because this is something that has been spoken about a lot. Tony Blair, for instance, has been talking about this for years and years as what he always believed was one of the best ways to try and reduce illegal immigration and the ability for people to work illegally here in the UK. But Sky News understands that we will have an announcement, could be as soon as tomorrow, from the Prime Minister on these mandatory ID cards, an ID card system, the Brit card. And essentially what this will mean, it will be mandatory for all adults here in the UK. It will make it easier for employers and for landlords to make sure that those they are employing or renting or to actually have the right legal immigration status here in the UK. They can do it using a smartphone app. It's also, according to the government, going to make it easier for people here in the UK to essentially prove their status or their ability to kind of qualify to be able to work here in the UK. And essentially, this is all about immigration. This is all about trying to tackle small boats crossings. We've had a lot of conversation about small boats and about other European countries, especially the French, who have been concerned with the kind of pull factors here in the UK in terms of being able to work in the black market, being able to work illegally here in the UK. We already know that France has an ID card system. They've had it for many, many years. And it's something that the UK has always resisted, partly because of questions around civil liberties and freedoms, but also because many governments in previous times said they didn't think it was the best approach. Now, clearly, Keir Starmer has been persuaded of the benefits of a digital ID card system and has been persuaded that this might have a significant impact on small boats crossings. The question really, and this is always going to be the million-dollar question, is once this comes into play and once it is enforced, how much of an impact could it have on small boats crossings? And if it has a really significant impact on small boats crossings, and it really kind of starts to eradicate that pull factor for illegal migrants coming to the UK, because I think they can essentially make money on the side illegally, as opposed to somewhere like that in France, how much of an impact does that have? And if it doesn't have a huge impact, then of course there'll be sighs of disappointment, I think, from within the Labour Party.
Let's not fall for this shit, people. Let's not fall for this shit.
All right, I know I've been Mariah Carey obsessed since the I Heart Music Festival, but
Sorry.
In the no, it wasn't long enough. Breakfast Club are just terrible with copyrights, but I'll take it out anyway. Yeah. I was seeing this morning the petition numbers are at over 2 million. So it definitely is going to be discussed in Parliament. But I think if the numbers go up to a good 10 million, that's a good sign that, you know, the majority of people are firmly opposed to this. Like, that would be a good indication of that.
So I lightly, I've had a very busy week, so I haven't really delved into this particular story, because my first, I think it was in our WhatsApp group, the members group. If you're not a member, you won't know about the WhatsApp group. So get in the WhatsApp group. We have discussions there. I think someone ever dropped it in. And my first instance was like, oh yeah, no, this is good, because I don't like walking with my passport when we're supposed to go certain places and you need to show ID. I don't have a driver's license because I don't drive. So digital ID card, what's the big deal? Because we have everywhere our digital data is stored somewhere. And at this point, we are not in control of who we are or what data is collected of us. So it being in one card, I was like, what's the difference? Because we literally have just given our data up for free in every other capacity. But the argument and the rhetoric about it being to stop small boats, that's bullshit. That's the part. I'm just like, come on, man, don't be so stupid. That's a weak lie. But I don't quite know what are the other dangers are. And I guess maybe we can go into this video that's explaining why digital ID is so dangerous, because we have got so much else going on. But I suppose I can preempt that by saying, like, yes, if we've got all our data in one thing that is our identity, that could be stopped, blocked, and stopped us from doing anything else because they deem you not to be worthy of it, whatever that means, whether you're not a citizen, whether you're a criminal, whether you're black, whether you're, of an ethnic minority or whatever. Those are the things that can make it dangerous. But they can do that with other forms of data that they have on us. So I just want to know the dangers or what people's initial resistance is to it.
So yes, we do have lots of different data points out there, but collectively what the government has on us is our national insurance and our passports. Now, because they are not digitalized, only when we travel do they have checks and balances with us, or like through the HMRC gateways. But there isn't a central data point and they think it will sit on our phones, that the government would be able to track us in all walks of our lives. If you basically have digital property from each citizen. And so then this is like, it starts that way. So you think it's only going to be like, small things about employment. So you may not be able to get employment unless you have one of these. But what else could they do? They could do like credit systems. You could have credit points. You could reduce your citizenship because they could be like, that's an infringement there to whoever the government is at that time. You could just be going about your business, but the government, the ideology, you may be opposed to that, and then your citizenship gets lowered. Like there would be so many ways that we would be trapped in a system where you'd have no autonomy now because it's all digitalized. Who are they going to sell it to? Would you be able to get citizenship in another country? All of that. That's why it's a problem.
And as the discussions rage, whatever, I'm hearing more and more of that, and that's the thing, because I think because I was really pissed off about getting teased and then resisting putting all my cards on my phone, resisting putting all my travel stuff on my phone, having that dependency, and then everything. Because the phone is the first point, and because we allowed it, and everyone's like, okay, let me put this on my phone. Oh yeah, let's do this. I don't like that. I like having my individual thing, but now it's just like, it just points to convenience. We've been taken to a point of convenience, and that's why the digital card to me is just like, it's a no-brainer that it makes sense for someone running a country. It makes sense to have some sort of point where we actually know what our citizens are up to. And even the best leader in the world, that could make sense to the best leader in the world. We're unfortunately run by corrupt, evil people that don't want our best interest, don't have our best interests at heart.
They're psychopaths, and realistically, you don't want them having all of your information. I totally understand. Even when you were like, I've gone back to the oyster now. I don't use my bank cards anymore. And even when me and Russ were talking about it, and I was like, AK was forever saying like, I'm not using my bank card. And the way they just take money willy-nilly, and you can't really see it properly, where you traveled, all of those points, references, it's like, no, they took too much money from me. I was like, absolutely not. Went and paid £7 for a flipping Oyster card. Like, I was like, no, I'm not doing this again. I'm not using my bank cards unless
that was my. Oh my god, I could actually beat you up. Guys, I've been cussed for years. I finally conceded, and now see, stand faith in the truth. It's because I kept losing my Oyster cards. I was like, okay, all right. Even the other day, when my battery was dying, and I didn't have any. No, that's in my phone. I told you my phone glitched. My phone glitched, and it was doing it. So, and I literally came to the barrier to come out. I tapped in, it was fine. Got to the barrier, it was like doing the madness. And I told the TFL guy, like, look, I might not be able to come out properly, whatever. And then it just happened to work. But that's the thing. My phone, it's got too much going on it to have everything on it. It's wild. Yes. It's wild. Anyway, that's my point. But that's exactly my point. You cannot monitor. And when everyone was saying that, no, it doesn't. They do. They just take money.
No, they take money. They were taking like £25 3 times in a week, and I had just gone out 3 times. Like it was just like, you just decided I'm going to take money from this person.
Yeah.
And I had no way of being like, did I tap properly? Where would there be like an incomplete journey? Like all of that, I have no way of seeing that. So I was like, absolutely not.
Exactly.
Not doing it again. You guys have got your money. Flipping can't stand TFL as it is. No, I will be oystered from now on. So
honestly, it's funny because I found an Oyster card. My daughter found an Oyster card in her pocket. It's like my mum buys. I've got like 20 Oyster cards because I've always got them all over the place. But it's because you can monitor. That is what I'm saying. And I think definitely because I've had a little bit more money than I had before. That's why I've been a bit like, oh fuck it, use my card. I've got to travel anyway. That's the only reason I've become a bit more lax. But definitely knowing that I'm spending £20 a week on my Oyster and really checking it. That is helpful. That is watching your money and being clear about where your money's going. Anyway, we digress.
And your travel. Let me just get Will Smith Goat 2's point. He says all our national insurance numbers linked to our address and employment details are available to the government electoral registers. We're wilding out when the horse has already bolted. Those are static things, though. It's like it's almost being an analog.
Yeah.
So if you are not working like that, like they can't track you. If it's all digital and connected with your phones, we don't know all of the different points that they are going to be able to monitor us on now. If we all subscribe to this mandatory digital settings, or when you're not in an employment that they can follow through, it can be like, okay, but how are they getting money? Like it's just ways for them to check on humans even more. And do we want that? If we can at least delay it to a point, like let's not, I feel like they're just capitalizing on people raging about immigration and thinking that this is going to be like Brexit, like this is going to be an antidote to something, and it isn't. And then after the fact, we're like, fuck, they got us again. It's like, can we just wise up, at least delay it by 20 years at least?
Let's see what this guy's saying.
Quick video by popular demand. Can the government unilaterally create a mandatory requirement for every single adult in the UK to have a digital ID card? Is it possible? Is it legal? Is it likely? A few of those things I will address very quickly in this video. Short video, I promise. Now, this has been done before. It's been attempted before. Now, addressing those questions in turn, can the government unilaterally just decide that this is going to happen? The short answer is no. It requires legislation because not only have they tried to do this before and it failed, the Identity Cards Act of 2006, now standing repealed, tried to introduce this back for 2009, but obviously it was kicked back again by Conservatives. Now, any such step like this for a mandatory ID would impose such a mandate on individuals that it would require new legislation, new primary legislation, or at the very least amending existing legislation to make this a requirement. Not least of which then there would need to be various other statutory instruments, secondary legislation to enforce this and any rules that they put around it. And that in itself is going to take a long time, and it's going to need to go through both houses of Parliament. It's got to go through the House of Commons first, through all of the steps to create new legislation, and then it's got to go through the House of Lords with no one creating any significant objection, which we're already seeing, which I'll come back to in a moment. So ultimately, they cannot just unilaterally decide, this is what we're doing, tough for anyone that disagrees, we are doing it whether you like it or not. Regardless of how forthright Stalmer sounds in his video and says, you will not be able to work unless you have a digital ID, that's just not necessarily the case. So I'm here to tell you two things. One is don't worry too much because it's just not likely to happen. But two, absolutely, please do worry about it. And that you want them to sign this letter that Rupert Lowe has put to other ministers, all parties, he says, to get this letter signed. Let me show you this here. This is from Rupert Lowe. He says, very pleased to add Ayub Khan to the cross-party letter opposing digital ID. If any MP wants to sign, get in touch. All have been invited: Conservative, Reform, SNP, your party, Lib Dems, Labour. All support is welcome. He says, ask your MP to sign. Now, I'm not encouraging anybody to harass anybody here, so do it politely, but email your MP and say, please sign this letter with Rupert Lowe to join in support to stand against this. That is the way that this will not work. And so I say, don't worry because it's not likely to happen, but do worry because it's more likely to happen if you do nothing about it. So this letter here that Rupert Lowe is inviting others to sign says as follows: Dear Prime Minister, we are writing to register our profound and passionate opposition to your reported plans for compulsory UK-wide digital identity scheme. Such a policy would represent an unprecedented level of state control over British citizens. This is a fundamental change to the relationship between the individual and the state. It's dangerous, intrusive, deeply un-British. It risks building the foundations of a surveillance state, one that will inevitably expand in scope over time. And I can personally assure you that will be the case. That's just how these things work. We urge you to abandon these plans immediately. At the very least, you must commit to bringing any proposal before Parliament, before scrutiny and a free vote, and to fully consulting the public before attempting to impose such a drastic measure on a reluctant country. The British people do not want this, and the British people do not need this. Compulsory digital ID would mark a dangerous and permanent shift in the balance of power between government and governed. We will oppose it at every stage. Now, the reason that I say it will require primary legislation is because there is currently no law that mandates this, no law that can enforce this, and there is just nothing that allows them the remit to bring in a blanket requirement that all adults have one of these ID cards. There just isn't yet the law to support it. Speaking of support, if you want to support me, please do so.
Okay, so he's going into the fact that this can't just happen, but it will happen if we're apathetic about it. I've dropped the link to watch the whole thing as a 9-minute video. So if you want to listen to more to the Black Belt Barrister, there you go. And I've dropped the petition in the, Will Smith says, everyone logging in with their IP addresses to sign the petition. We are in a state of madness. It is like, if you don't want it to happen, yes, don't be apathetic and do something about it. We have been sleptwalked into pretty much signing our data away anyway. So this was an inevitable turn of events. And if it doesn't happen tomorrow, it probably will happen within the next 20 years. But at the same time, it doesn't mean to say don't do anything about it. Because if you really are upset about this and scared about this or worried about this, because there is a thing where you're like, we've seen all the sci-fi films again. Sci-fi has told us when you don't have your little credit, your credit scores in the zero, you're smally at the back of the tailie at the back of the train. Keep telling you to watch. I do not like Snowpiercer, but it's one of the many, like Silo, all those dystopian, where after the tech war has killed off everybody, then we've got the haves and the have-nots. The have-nots are always wearing brown, looking like medieval characters with no credits, trying to get credits, always rebelling with the system. And then you've got the haves all just up there, lording away their credits and, you know, keeping the people underneath.
And you notice also in these films, when the have-nots always have like a kind of African-y Caribbean accent.
No, I don't notice that. What pisses me off is why I can't really watch some of them. It's like a lot of them. It's that for me, it might be a stupid thing that in dystopia, there's no color for the poor. And there's only browns, and it's only usually UK English medieval type behavior. They drink mead and they're in pubs going, they're singing folk songs. And it's always like those kind of Norman flags that they have, or fucking Saxon flags, and there's no other culture underneath the world. It's just this kind of oldie English. We're gonna survive the war because we go and then banjos come out and lutes, and it's like, why? That's what pisses me off more. I don't necessarily see the Caribbean accent thing. I don't necessarily see that so often.
I've noticed it in about a good 5 different series I've watched. The amalgamation of like normal folks, like, so it's almost like Cornwall, you know, that can kind of sound a little bit Caribbean-ish as well. It's like they mix it, and then sometimes you'll have like an African edge. I'm like, what are you guys trying to say? Like, what are you trying to say? Like, why would it not be that actually this could take over and the Africans are the ones that push it?
That's why
like, they are the ones that become the overlords, and you guys are the deadbeats. Actually,
they dare not. It's always that somehow the white elite will always prevail, and maybe a few, again, it'll be representative of multicultural. So it's going to be a few, but definitely whites dominant, a few multicultural turncoats will be in the elite, and about everyone at the bottom, that's where there's an abundance of brown and ethnic diversity. Again, it's not going to happen, and it's always the oldie English culture that takes over. Watch it. Waving Character Signs is what films. It's not films. It's all of them. The series, like all the clothes are drab. They're like maroons. It's like they're pretending that we're outside in the fields crushing berries, but if we're not, it's a tech revolution. So what is how do we not have color? I don't understand, because there'll be jumpers and stuff and clothes and shirts from the old days, because they managed to smash away books. I've got this gem, it's a book. And then it's always a book from white authors. It's never maybe Maya Angelou's I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings. You know what I mean? It's always some sort of fucking, oh God, I can't stand it. Anyway.
Oh God, yes. Let's see how this one plays out. It's I don't know. I don't know what level of disappointed I could be in Labour. I'm now like loathing them, like how I loathed Margaret Thatcher when I was 10 years old and she took the milk away. It's like it's gone to that level of, what are you trying to do to us for a party that I actually sent money to? It's it's crazy. I don't know. It's like he wants reform to win at this point. He wants it to take place.
Yeah.
Waving Cat Design says, I don't want any brown non-designer berry clothes.
That's what I'm. Listen, Cat. Listen. Well, you need to be of the elite or something, or the revolution that finds color. I'm going to be on the color team, because I'm definitely not wearing brown and maroon and berry clothes.
1 second. I've just got to get the door.
Oh, somebody's at the door. She's got to get the door. But yes, I agree. Let's see some other comments. Will Smith says the type of movies with 3-hour runtimes that you find on Reddit pages. Whatever. No, watch all the things you see. There's a lot of these films and TV shows. That's the fashion. It's ye olde English, and they drink mead out of wooden cups. Yeah. If you want me to support, yes. I don't know. Shall we look for a pro? Was it digital ID petition? Let's see if there is one for Will Smith's sake. No, there isn't any. There isn't one that's saying, yes, please, can we sign up to agree to it? So that we've done some fair research. Doesn't come up, love. Doesn't come up. Nigel D says, I wouldn't mind a news and nonsense sci-fi. It's fantasy edition. Do you know what? There's something in going through all the sci-fi dystopian, especially those about how the elite, the world post-tech revolution, when the robots have come for us, what's left? I'd like to go through all the series and sci-fi films and see like who talks about what, which one has the manuscript or the script for how to live, the survivor's manual. Because the truth is out there, as X-Files said.
It's true. I mean, all of the people that were spouting this a few years ago from like the new age communities are all like, see, told you this was going to happen. A lot of them went to Mexico and Costa Rica, and in Mexico, they are now rebelling against all of these kind of Trustafarians that went and moved out there because you've put up the rent. So you can't just remove yourself from the West and place yourself elsewhere and want Western standards and people who don't live like that not rail against you. Like it won't be long before the expats in flipping, the immigrants in Spain, Cyprus, where the local folks are going to be like, you guys have to go, and you may be on the boat. This is the thing. It's like you may be the ones on a boat trying to find refuge somewhere.
100%.
Don't be so quick to be like, look, stop the boats, stop the small boats. You too could be on a small boat one day, trying to get refuge in another country.
Reform. Bardi Gang says reform has such a higher chance of winning. This is getting scary. I mean, literally, it's like, and this is what I don't like when you see like it's like with the Democrats in America, Labour here. It's like they're slow. It's really weird to see them roll back all of their beliefs to allow. It's like it's written like Project 2025, our version, whatever that is over here. That's an unspoken about manuscript of how the world's supposed to go, the New World Order, whatever the case is. It's like you're just doing stupid things to make it obvious that someone else is going to get in. How can you really be serious about your job if you're really for your party and what your party manifesto believes in, but yet you're doing all the things that counter that and are leaving the path open for someone else to come in? That is not true competition. That's not true campaigning and going for what you believe in. So what are you lot all playing at? Can't trust. We've been saying it from the day Keir Starmer became even a sniff in Labour Party. We on Aunties have been saying he looks like a right winger. It's just his whole skin. His whole skin looks like a conservative.
And I think the annoying thing is, I guess it's showing everybody that they are two sides of the same coin. Like they all have a master plan, and you know that we are operating in polarity. So you're just putting polls up, but it's not really an opposition in any way. Even flipping Kemi coming out and being like, this is just a gimmick. And it's like, shut your mouth, Kemi. Like, you want this to take place as well. Like, you all do. You all want Nigel Farage to come in, and he will have... Keir Starmer doesn't have any cultural capital to push forward something like this, where we don't have trust in him anyway. But Nigel Farage now, he could put it forward. So you're planting a seed. It's not going to come into fruition. Nigel Farage comes in. People are going to be like, this is what we need. It's Nigel. They trust him. And then it happens. It's like, we're not fighting this. It's the long con, basically.
Yeah. And it's in our face plain. And it's like, we've just seen it. Anyway, we've said it so many. I'm even tired. I've said it so many times. We've just seen it play out in America. Well, look what's happening. And you lot are doing the same. It's like, don't these people watch TV? And I know we keep saying it. You're brainwashed by this. But it is. I think even, was it Farah who said, like, I can't remember who said it. It was just like, come on, guys. Like, are you really that dumb? Are we really just letting these people get away being dumb? It's not enough now. It's not enough to just sit there and say, well, the immigrants are taking our job. It's not enough to just look at Nigel Farage, a rich man, a rich white man who's not working class. I don't think he's ever been working class. Doesn't care about you at all. Doesn't care about you. Keir Starmer does not care about you. We had 3% hope in Jeremy Corbyn. He's fucked it. Do I even know if he's a plant at this point? Like, how are you? How are you? You're the guy that everyone loves. Everyone's like, like everyone. A majority of people love what you're about. You're for the people. You're in this. You roll up your sleeves. Your little grey beard. You're cool. You went out with Diana. You're cool, but yet somehow you let in-house fighting ruin prospects of a potential party that could challenge the current establishment. But you mess it up on gender wars and egotism. Come on, there has to be something like, okay, guys, you just do this for a little bit, play in their faces, get them distracted, and then we'll come in.
Something. I mean, it could all be a whole big ruse, and they're all in it together.
That's what I'm saying.
I don't know. I was watching Amanda Seales. She did a live, and she said something that really stood out for me. She was talking about Trump. And she was like, people don't understand that Trump is actually a revolutionist. And you think that revolution is always for the betterment of the people.
Yeah, it's true.
It's an ideology. And he is revolutionizing an ideology and making it happen. And it just spun how I was thinking of things. And it's like, for real. If you think of him like that, you know that he's a force, as all revolutions are. So who is our one? Who is the one that could switch it all around and could lead the way, could be a leader? And do we even need a leader?
Well, unfortunately, humans always need someone to latch on to keep kind of steer them. I mean, there's movements, there's factions, and sometimes this whole thing of coming together, which we will talk about in another topic, is important. But then we've proven time and time again that coming together is almost difficult, but there are people that do it well. Like, and as I think Charlemagne says it quite well, and some other kind of people that really comment on this, they're like, whatever the Republicans do, for example, and the Conservatives, I guess, but the right side political leaning people, they just know how to show up for each other. And even if there's a bit of infighting, the bigger voice and the loudest voices dominate, and they're like, just let this go through. And let's go on with what we're doing. Even when they're cussing each other, they're still like united front. This is what we want, so let's go for it. And I think it was Mehdi I was watching today, and he was saying that the left just don't like to criticize anything. They don't want to. What is it they don't do? They don't. They don't want to dig through the part. I can't remember. I actually can't remember the quote, but it's something about the left just don't do enough kind of throwback and really highlight the bad points of their opponents. They just act like all they do is talk about silly talking points within their things without throwing stuff back. And the right are very good at like saying, tearing down anything the left do. I wish I could get it together. I'll find a clip at one point. But yeah, it's just, I don't know. I think it's a playbook that they're all playing with.
It is annoying. Strike 22 says, our revolutionary people always get killed because of the chemies and such. We don't protect them. So now they don't want to lead and stand. I hear it. I don't have an answer on this one. It just made me really think, what do we do? Do you back somebody? Or like, what is people force? Like, how do you galvanize people? And looking over Unite the Kingdom, I just love that slogan. So good. So annoying that it's being co-opted by these races.
You keep freezing.
Oh, do I? Sorry.
You do freeze a lot.
Hang on, let me see. Am I back?
You're frozen now even more. Now I don't know. You have to talk and see how it goes because every so often you freeze and cut. What did you say? What slogan?
Unite the Kingdom.
Oh, Unite the Kingdom. Okay.
Yeah, I just think it's such a good slogan, but I don't know how. Like the same way they jump on woke, how do we take that back? How can we jump on that?
You use it on protest. You use it in protests and stuff like that. You just have to take over and keep using it and keep talking about it. And every person that's anti what's going on now said, we need to unite the kingdom. We need to unite the kingdom. And that's how people do it, because that's how the right did it with woke. They just kept saying woke this and just applied it to anything and everything that didn't even make sense. So someone's like talking about, this is how I make my breakfast, and to unite the kingdom, this is what we do. We put 2 eggs together and we put a bit of paprika and then it becomes a united egg. Unite the kingdom. They have to do so many stupid things like that to get it into people's rhetoric and language. That's what the right did with woke. That's how they turned it against what it truly means.
Yeah. I feel like it's a thing. It needs to be taken.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm also not going to go out marching or anything, but I like the idea of people in force railing against the government. And if there was some way that we could join forces to rail against the government, I'm all for it. I don't know how to. The gap just needs to be bridged in some way for a common fight that isn't necessarily the aliens, but actually the governments type of thing.
Everyone's saying it's not. You're fine on their end. Maybe it's me then. Maybe it's my internet. My internet's on 4 bars. That's strange. Because every so often you freeze and then come back. So I don't know. Maybe it's me. Thanks, Bardi gang shouting at me. Sorry. What's going to say? I went to, just as an aside, if you can, those of you who live in London, or those of you who want to make a journey, I went down to Miss Anne Harriman's exhibition. Actually, I can actually get some of it up. I'll play some of the slides I took when I was there. And he's got the exhibition of light. It's at the Hope Gallery, which is a black-owned gallery in the West End. It's on East Castle Street, and Miss Anne, for all the work that he does, he's a filmmaker, he's a photographer, self-taught photographer. Who only picked up the camera, I think, when he was 40. And I think it's only like a few years he's had the camera in his hand, but he's taken some really powerful pictures.
Oh, amazing!
Yeah. And he's got an exhibition. So it's called The Purpose of Light. So he's been photographing protests, and amongst photographing celebrities, he also photographs protests and campaigners. And he's been in all of them, and he's very, very vocal on his page. For someone who's like rubs shoulders with the royals, and as a black man who has everything to lose when it comes to celebrity and fame and the journey that he's been on, he's an example of someone who doesn't give a heck and is just speaking. He's got a documentary called Shoot the People, which is good. That captures all the work that he's doing. And he just thinks this exhibition is just, I'll just show a snippet of it, because it is, if you can get down there, it's a good exhibition. And we were lucky enough to be taken around by him. So he spoke on some of the things and some of the pictures that he's taken. So this is Aki.
Hope 93. Hope 93 is my gallery, which I'm very, very proud of. For the most incredible artists, obviously. My name is Aki Abiola. The gallery's only been alive really for a year. So there are 2 people here who've been here before.
So Aki, he runs this gallery. And I didn't even know, because Miss Andy said, I know he's going to be okay with saying this, that he had galleries tell him, if you take out the stuff about Palestine, all good.
Wow.
Yeah. I think he's turned down life-changing money in order to keep the photos that he's taken of his Palestine protests and some of the things that he's seen. This is the position that he's in. And then Aki having this gallery, being black owned, and say, I'm going to put this exhibition on. There's all these things that might seem kind of, it is what it is. But when you hear the stories about behind how certain things exist or don't exist because of and the pressures, then you're like, Rod, people really are out here to silence. It's a bit about Miss Anne talking about who he is.
Thank you, Aki, my brother. We have gone on this incredible journey. And the journey is to remember what art was always supposed to be. Nina Simone said it best: "Is to be an artist is to reflect the times that we're living in." The rest is entertainment.
There's that. I mean, you can go to the British Space and see.
And when George Floyd was lynched in 2020, I had run out of tears. I didn't know what to do. I had just watched a man that looked like me lying in his own piss, asking for his manner, as he was still calling the men who had their knees on his neck, sir, as he went to his next life. My wife said, maybe I should look at the camera again. And I took the camera and I went to Hyde Park. In fact, the first of one of those days of shooting is that image there. What if there wasn't a video? We've got Carmen and John there who were there with me on that day, which is crazy. And what if there wasn't a video? And I think that is the point of bearing witness. The point of bearing witness is to make sure we, the people, can hold those with power to account.
That's basically talking about his work and what he's done. He talks about white privilege. He's married to a white woman, and this story, he just talks about when he tried to hail a cab. And it's just putting in perspective, because most of us who are walking around, about 20 or 30 of us, most of the people are white, and he's unafraid to speak about anything in front of white people or anybody. He will say what he needs to say, and you have to deal with it, which also is quite inspiring and powerful when you feel like you're in a position where you could lose it all. What's your, what are you willing to lose to just speak the truth? It speaks about Black Lives Matter, knowing your true history. There's talking
colonialism course in school curriculum. Colonialism as a word is even a bit of a softball thing. I'm Nigerian, and they like to say, yeah, you're a former British colony. I'm like, no, we were occupied by the British. Right? My father was born into an occupied, finished. That's what it was. It was one lady that named Nigeria. Imagine that kind of power. You just name over 300 tribes. And we're never supposed to be a country in the first place. That's absurd power. And many, many, many parts of the world are paying for that today. It was two white men that drew like crayons, the Sykes-Picot read in the Middle East, drawing across ancient lines in civilizations, and so much of the violence we're seeing today comes from there.
So it's just
having
beliefs. He photographs Grenfell. He's got it's a really nice exhibition. Oh, he's talking about women in activism.
And this happens all the time. The majority of people that sign up to come to something like this are women. A huge chunk of people that follow me online are women, and women have always been the central pillar to every kind of resistance movement that I've ever photographed and or studied. And we have a mother, an Italian mother, who has been sanctioned by the most powerful nuclear-powered state that has ever existed. She can't even open a bank account or get paid. And Francesca Albanese has become, we talk about, I don't know, Taylor Swift or Beyonce. This next generation, this is who they're looking at. When she walked out on stage in Wembley, I swear to God, it felt like it was an earthquake. I've never seen anything like it. And what I love about her celebrity is that her vibes are international law. Her vibes is making sure that impunity dies and accountability lives. The fact that,
Yeah, and we talk about black women activism, just saying that black women are the core of every kind of movement. I can play that, but I just want to start in. And the power of imagery. Anyway, it's a good exhibition if you can get down there. I don't know if he's going to be doing talks every time. We were lucky enough to get a talk from him, but him breaking down and just what the world's going through in the society that we're living in, and the way he used his art to affect change, really, really impressive and inspiring. Just as a by the by.
You know what was really helpful with his images? We had one clip go semi-viral about Jewish people railing against the Israeli government. And within the comments, there was a lot of people being like, no, that's not true. No, that's not true. And he just quietly like tagged us in a whole load of images that he has taken that are of Jewish people in the marches with their placards saying, I am Jewish and I'm here and I am against this. And it's those types of things. So in our stories, I just went through and put all of them in our stories. All of those comments started to stop. Because sometimes when you don't actually have the evidence of something like visually there, like news crews filming them, and you don't have news crews filming them, a photographer can just cut through that, is why there aren't any journalists on the grounds in various different conflicts, because it makes a huge difference when we can see it. So he's a valuable person, really, really special person. We should all be following him. And I just love his temperament. I love how he's so calm when he's speaking, like just really engaged. I love his page. Very special man.
He's it's wild. When you say protect people at all costs, he's just, and he's actually said, Nana, he said, anything you post, I'll share, I'll repost, collaborate with me on anything. I'm like, everything, because you guys are doing so well. Like he has time for people who make time to protest and speak out. It's not even just protest, it's just speaking out. And the fact that sometimes there's certain people that are on this earth in whatever capacity that are just, they're supposed to be here, because someone that hasn't trained as a photographer, he was, I think, even usual corporate shit, and then gets his wife is the one, actually, he said, just pick up the camera and start shooting. Look at the pictures and the images that he captures. And his pictures are beautiful. Yes, they really are. There's one that I really want. I mean, he got pretty beautiful prizes too. He's had people flying all over the world. People flying all over the world. He said there's one story that he told. There's a big, I mean, it's just optics, and he said a big white Australian man broke down on his chest crying from seeing the images. Yeah. I mean, like, he's getting all those type of things. So yeah, big up Misan all day, every day. And and what he said about, he said something that relates to the digital ID of it all. I can't remember which point it was. I meant to say it, but there's something that kind of relates to the Italian woman that's got all her life blocked, and there are a few of them that are sanctioned to the point where they can't do anything, they can't move. Yeah, that's what could happen with the digital ID. But then at the same time, there are examples where you can still survive without it. It might be difficult, but there are ways to survive without being tied to the system. The matrix. You also need people. I think within our last video, somebody spoke about, so you guys are against capitalism, and it's like I need everybody to know what the structures are and what these names mean and what societies we live under. It's you need people to support you when governments lock you out of things. Like, so you need other folks that are kind of seemingly participating to help you along. And if more of us kind of built up those networks, it would be possible. We could have groupings where we do that. But if loads of people don't actually know, or it's like Shamima Begum losing her citizenship, it's like, oh, she's over there, and us not really thinking, hang on now, if I want to go and support my country, who all of a sudden turns into being they're calling them terrorists, I could just lose my citizenship like that. It's like, this shouldn't be something that we kind of just like, oh, it's her. Because it can be you. If they can do it once and nobody is protesting it, they definitely are making notes of how they can do this to other people en masse. Most definitely. Windrush, especially. Everybody should be like, oh, okay, so they're doing this to the Caribbeans. They can do it to everybody. Australians, New Zealand, like, they can do it to anybody that they have allowed to come here en masse at one stage. They can then be like, yeah, your citizenship isn't it's not okay. Or birthright citizenship, they could just remove that. Like, we can't be complicit in this shit. You're on mute, my dear. No, it's you. Moving on, we have currently what's going on now, the United Nations General Assembly. A couple of things to get into over this. First of all, let's get this chief out of the way. Netanyahu condemned Palestinian recognition as protesters walk out of his UN speech. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu told the United Nations General Assembly, that's happening in New York, that recognizing a Palestinian state was sheer madness and disgraceful as delegates walked out in protest. His address highlighted Israel's actions against Hamas, Hezbollah, the Houthis, and Iran, while global pressure grows for an end to the conflict in Gaza and the occupation of the West Bank. This ongoing conversation. I can show you a video about people walking out. But what I actually really want to get into, as outside of Netanyahu's rhetoric, he started speaking about Africa. And I was like, excuse me, I don't think so. Let me line it up. Did you know about the assembly that's happening? What are your initial thoughts? I've got more to get into as well after we speak about Netanyahu.
Okay, I love that people did leave en masse. That was a good showing, but also I was dismayed that he was able to go into the building and talk and not be arrested. I was literally like, how can this man still be so flagrantly out here traveling around the world and nobody is arresting him? I cannot believe it at all. Like, this is wild behavior.
Wild. So he had the cheek to come talk about Africa. Here we go.
With our African friends, we think that Israel now is the best partner that the countries of Africa could have, and it's something that is dear to our hearts. The founder of modern Zionism, the national movement of the Jewish people, was Theodor Herzl, and he said, after I liberate the Jewish people, I will go to Africa to help liberate the black people. We have our African brethren, the Ethiopian Jews, who are in our society, and I personally work every few weeks to help integrate more and more and incorporate them in our society.
Definitely a lot to unpackage in that video, right? Let's just start with their African brethren, the Ethiopian Jews. A lot of the women were given contraceptive without consent because they did not want to have no little black babies running around their little apartheid state.
So he's gonna liberate the people in Africa. Liberate them from what?
From those diamond mines that's drenched in blood that one of the apartheid corporations make so much profits in.
Facts over feelings. 1997 marked a pivotal moment when a couple of apartheid state diamond businesses began penetrating the Congolese market. It's not a coinky-dink either that this happened at the same time of rapid destabilization in the country.
How can some folks that took advantage of destabilization and in some instances brought it on try to be the same entity to quote unquote liberate some folks? Make it make sense. And then you said, what about Theodore Herzl?
Right.
Man, he was one of the folks that almost had Uganda looking like the Gaza Strip. Stop playing. Education is elevation.
That's all. Education is innovation, guys. How dare you speak?
The level of this guy, this is what I'm saying. He's just playing in everybody's face. I cannot believe it. I have family in Israel. I've told you guys before, I actually went to Israel in the 90s to a wedding there. There's quite a large Ghanaian community. They are oppressed out there as well. But it's like there's racism everywhere. People staring at us. Even when they talk about the formation of Israel and the Zionists, they didn't really want standard Jewish people going. They wanted a standard of Jewish person to be there. Now, there was Jewish people already there living in Palestine as well, like Semitic people. They were there already. But those ones are generally a little bit more brown. That isn't who they were wanting. They absolutely do not want Ethiopians there. Like it just beggars belief. You want to colonize Africa. That's what you want to do. That was your idea of it as well. It's like we're going to the Middle East, Arab lands, because it isn't even the Middle East, and we're going to take over there, and we're going to take over Africa. That was the plan. You hatched it all with various different Europeans. Like they're no different to the British.
No,
they are the British, but by all accounts, actually, a lot of British aristocracy are a part of this Jewish clan as well. Like they're all in it together. It's like this is just a new wave. The same way you had a wave in America, you're trying to do another new wave in Arab lands as well. It's the same people again trying to colonize everywhere. That this man can stand up there and say this shit about our friends.
I have to make a correction. Apparently, I got taken down the rabbit hole and thought it was he did this at the recent address. Joe's correcting me that it was not a recent one. This is an old video. However, he said
our friends in Africa. This is crazy.
It's an old. It's not. He didn't do it at this General Assembly. He said it before, but he has said it. So let me just make that clear that it wasn't said recently. It is something that he said, but it's something that he said. So the reason why it hit is because we had, in my next point, we had a lot of African leaders demanding UN reform and global equity. So again, at the United Nations General Assembly, African leaders delivered a unified call for reform, insisting the UN must ensure fairness, equity, and representation for all nations. Leaders from Ghana, Guinea-Bissau, the Gambia, Ethiopia, South Sudan, and Botswana highlighted debt burdens, climate impacts, conflict and exclusion from global decision-making, stressing that Africa's voice remains unheard in the Security Council. So this is all very good. I've shared our President Mahama's points as well. That he made a good speech, made a really good speech. A lot of these made a good speech, and our good sis, Ms. Motley from Mia Motley from Barbados, she made a great takedown speech. There was overall, there were from Africa, there were 46 speakers. From the Caribbean, there were 15 speakers. Most high profile was Cyril Ramaphosa from South Africa, William Ruto from Kenya, Felix Tshisekedi from DRC. Okay, there's names, and Mahama, as I said, and then we've got Mia Motley, Philip Davis, Kamala Persad-Bissir, and Irfan Ali from the Caribbean. All these great leaders spoke and really challenged and went up against UN, either talking about the disproportionate sanctions and oppression unleashing on our country, on their countries, but also how dare you not have any of the 54 African countries represented properly, or 52 out of the 50. Is it 52 out of the 54 that don't have a voice in the UN? Why is that happening? So whilst they were making all these grand speeches, I was thinking, yeah, but why do you want to be a part of the UN? How does this benefit you? And I thought, okay, obviously you're going to always be raging against the machine. You're never going to say, yeah, actually, I want you to be part of this global thing. And that's just my personality. So I'm thinking, am I just jumping the gun? But then I found this video from Dr. Arikana Shimombori Kao, a Zimbabwean-born medical doctor, diplomat, and former African Union ambassador to the United States, and Professor PLO Lumumba, a renowned Kenyan lawyer, scholar, and Pan-Africanist, who had a conversation about what they thought about speaking at the UN. So I'm going to play that. But first thoughts, what do you think about all the leaders and the conversations that happened at the UN from the Black leaders? What do you think, Nana, first?
I've always wondered that, like, what is the function of the UN? Because if the UN says something and they put and it gets vetoed, the UN just seems to be a puppet of America. As long as you're doing what America wants or the UK, then the UN can be effective. But if you can't ever go against the superpowers, what's the point of the UN? I've always wondered that. So I'm interested to find out what that is. A speech is a cool speech. Okay, cool. But where's the action? That's what I don't understand what the function is.
Do you know what's actually stressful, which is interesting? The video, which has been available, has just been, it says this video is no longer available because YouTube account has been terminated. So I'm going to see.
Wow.
If I literally, this is wild. I mean, I don't know if it's wild. It could be, we don't know who the YouTube account owner is. Could be a crazy person. But just in case, this conversation was really moving. Let me see if I can find it.
If you can, or if you do find it, and then we can go through it next week. That's so interesting. Yeah, Strike 22 said, yes, the UN is an extension of the America system. Joe says, I noticed our great leader, Tinubu of Nigeria, was missing from these deliberations. I don't know who that is. And Maya says, kind of useless, really.
Yeah.
I mean, and the other, the other ones that actually had said they had issued an arrest for Netanyahu as well. It's like, what is the function of them if they can't get him?
Exactly. Hold on. I think I found it. It keeps saying it. It's really interesting. All right. Let me see if I found another link.
Okay.
Let me see, because it literally went unavailable, then it came back. I don't know if we're watching real-time censorship or Let's see. Let's hopefully this plays.
And this was reposted a day ago. Yeah, so if you can drop it in, I will download it.
Okay, cool. All right. So let me see, because I don't know if this is, because I haven't seen, I think this is
to be members of the United Nations. Do African nations need to be members of the United Nations? The answer is a resounding H to the no. Why is that? You must understand why United Nations was created. You must understand why IMF, World Bank, the Bretton Woods institutions were created. You must understand why the World Trade Organization was created. The United Nations, the Bretton Woods institutions, the WTO, they were institutions, among others, that were created after the European tribal wars that they call World War II. Europe, as usual, had destroyed itself, and they needed to rebuild, and they could not afford to rebuild themselves. So it is, in 3 weeks, a few countries came together and created what we now know as World Bank and IMF, as a way of figuring out how to steal from developing nations, majority being Africans, in order to fund Europe. In 1 month, a few nations came together, again organized for the purposes of rebuilding Europe from its self-destruction and implosion. So it is in 4 weeks, a few nations came up with what we know as the United Nations. That was in 1945. These institutions were never created for the benefit of the greater world. And yet, today, like fools, nations have been invited to become members of the United Nations. For what reason? African nations, an entity that was created to rebuild Europe, are asked to become members, and we are happy to be members of the United Nations. When you look at what African nations are doing when they go to the United Nations year in and year out, African nations are receiving brown envelopes, in some cases just being forced to vote on issues pertaining to other nations, but never African nations.
Exactly.
So to answer your question very bluntly and honestly, African nations need to pull out of the United Nations. Yeah. There is nothing there for us. We are there just to be used. We are there for them to say, when they go to the world stage, where Africans present, check. Beyond a check mark, there's nothing else for us. I would hope that one day, African leaders can take a position. If you look at when they were wanting us to be represented at the UN Security Council, we want you Africans to come and be part of the UN Security Council. But like a little boy, come into the room, and by the way, there's a small boy chair for you there. Sit there and be quiet.
Right.
Start by agreeing with my sister that this institution, when it was created in 1945, all African countries, excluding Liberia and Ethiopia, were still under colonial rule. So it was created without us. The architecture is against us. That is why you have the permanent members and the vote of any of those members can veto all other votes.
Mate.
And there is no provision in any of the documents of the UN, whether the Charter or the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, that says we cannot leave. The reason why we don't leave is because we are disunited.
Yes.
Because we want to be good little boys. And it's not only the UN that they have created to divide us. The Commonwealth,
yeah,
La Francophonie, the community of Portuguese-speaking countries. The day we organize ourselves under the aegis of the African Union and we speak with a single voice, that is the day we'll recognize that we don't need some of these bodies which gain their legitimacy by having Africans playing what in English is called the gooseberry. You just sit there for it to be said that you are there. So I can't agree more that the time is now for Africa to rethink her membership in many of these organizations. But that requires unity, coherent, common policy on international relations. And the day we define ourselves, then we'll discover that the world will come for us. However you define the world.
It's a long, it's a 26-minute video, but I was just like, yes, auntie and uncle, go speak on it, because that's what I was feeling, but I thought it's too easy and I don't know all the ins and outs, but it's just of the UN and what it stands. I mean, I know it's a crock of shit at this point, but it's just performative when they all gather together. It's just like a jolly, basically. I think Fist and Dunder Mifflin going on a retreat. That's what it's like now at this point.
But like the G8, G20, it's just literally money laundering. It's like we can spend millions on doing this conference that we know is telephone calls. Yeah, that's what's gonna take place, and those are the things that are going to be implemented. But let's put these stuff out to the masses so that they think that, you know, them doing speeches is going to move us in any way. It doesn't move them. They're psychopaths.
Yeah,
I shared Boris Johnson. I don't know where that clip is now, though. But Boris Johnson is talking to a journalist and speaking about Iran and basically admitting theft, that the British government stole 400 million from Iran in the 70s. They ordered some tanks from them. They didn't deliver the tanks. They resold the tanks that they had sold. And then when Iran was like, we're beefing you guys, we're like, us? How very dare you? Like, you beef, and he's talking about it like this is kind of nothing. He mentions within there Israel and was like, so we did a deal on that as well about the land, but you know, we're living through that. He's just bumbling through everything. Like, you guys are psychopaths. He's talking about people being killed, starting wars on folks for stuff that you did. You stole from them 400 million, and then you're going to be like, oh, yeah, and then they hated us. Of course they hate you. Like, it beggars belief, but these are the folks. They're just psychos. Yeah. And for Africans to be sitting there voting on stuff, for real, why are you there? Why are you being the little boys when they're using your minerals to stay the big boys? It doesn't make any sense.
And that's the thing, because like the speeches were great, Motley was great, Muhammad was great, everyone was great. I mean, my mum's response, I don't want to say that. But anyway, mum was like, because you know, African leaders, our Ghanaian leader, is he good? Is he not? Whatever. All our resources, where are you banking, where are you holding your money, all that type of stuff.
Kenyan leader the same. I literally was like, the Kenyan leader is an absolute bumperclot for America. Like, why was he even trying to talk?
And that's the thing. And the thing is, look, and it's all well and good having all these life platitudes and getting a round of applause and yeah. I mean, Amir Motley seems the only one. I don't know everyone's mission statements. Mia seems to be very proactive, and she's done a lot for Barbados in trying to change things up. So I'm not going to counteract her. But in general, overall, the leaders that have so far just allowed the West to trample over their countries and now you're coming to do big talk. I hope you're inspired by some of the other leaders that are actually taking action. I hope you truly are inspired, and it's just not performative, and you aren't just literally calling out to be part of the boys club, so then you can just go back to being complacent, and just so that you can vote and say I and support movements that don't support the world and don't have the world's interest at heart. Because you can't just become complicit. You can't just be like your capitalist leaders. You can't. You actually have to get back at them, and absolutely don't be a part. Don't show up. Don't be their checkbox.
Yeah.
Don't go and have, whilst they're doing that, there should always be, there's always there's this rally going on, then you've got the anti-rally, they've got the anti-movement. Let's go and have an African, whilst they're doing the assembly, have the African Assembly, African Caribbean Assembly. How about that? Trust me, they're going to want to come to that. As Doctor said, the minute we start getting together, they'll be like, oh, can we send a delegate?
Yeah. Well, they'll also try and flipping kill everyone.
Yeah, of course.
Strike 22 says, this is why they push Jesus and Muhammad on us. Any normal person would react in a visceral manner, but they need us to keep forgiving and reading the Bible.
Yeah.
And it is the truth, because why is it that everybody else is allowed to have revenge with impunity? Where you would have Keir Starmer talking about, well, should Israel, maybe they are allowed to shut off electricity and running water because of what happened. So if we have hundreds of years of shit taking place for us, but when you want to do a little something, how dare you? I mean, you didn't suffer under this. It's like it was hundreds of years ago. And it's like, no, it wasn't actually. But everybody else can have some form of retribution or reparations for our Black folks. We have to take our power back. Like, truly, these are some of the points where I do kind of agree with conservatives on victim mentality. We have to wash that away. We just need our power back. We all have to do it because they're not going to give it to us.
No,
it's like if they were, they would have done it. They have shown they are not going to be decent human beings and play fair.
Exactly. And we need to stop. And it's like the blacks are acting like the left. And that's how they're acting. You've got no agenda. Let me not say that. It's not all. And there are people actually trying. And like I said, these speeches that these guys made are very impressive and quite combative and telling people about themselves. And we love that. But what's your intention? If it's to be part of this boys club, I would have rather you did it in your own space, in your own countries. Figure out how you lot can have your own assembly, rotate through all the African nations, all the Caribbean nations. Let's do that. That alone is generating income, support, and all of that stuff. Just that alone introduces a different mindset. Have the African Caribbean General Assembly every year when the UN Assembly is on. Counter it. I tell you that. I'll give you that one for free. How about that? I'll even do the guest list. I'll organize the guest list. And it's not even for those who are thinking, oh, you're just trying to rabble up the rap. It's not race-based, none of that. It's actually become unified and then just compete at a higher level. Because also what the Western is doing, keeping you lot subservient, it's not helpful. It's not helpful what's happening. If you have to, yes, you might lose a little bit more billions. Maybe have less billions because you're allowing someone else to be a billionaire or allowing someone else to be more prosperous. Power, you lose a bit of power. You don't lose all the power. You don't. It's just all a mindset. Oh. Thank you, Cher. Oh, bless you. Appreciate you. Thank you so much. 5 of you guys got membership. Waving Cat Design says, what about China? I mean, yeah, thank you, Cher.
China, this is the thing. It's like, obviously, even with the British going around colonizing places, it wasn't that swift. They didn't come in and be like, well, colonizing. They worked as partners for a few decades. And China is also scary. Like, I didn't know Shaka was telling us about how the Chinese were putting spyware when they were building things in African countries. And so then they knew what all of the Africans were talking about and could offer them deals on this. And it's like, but if you still have a victim mentality that a big brother is going to help you, China and Russia are the next people that you're going to be like, big brother, help us. Instead of
Netanyahu, whenever he said it, he still said it. He comes in with his agenda. And you think,
exactly. Because we need a big brother. So, they've done a number mentally And that's what needs to be worked on. So China, who knows what their game is going to be? I wouldn't be surprised if they do the same British game. It's like Taiwan. So they could do that in Africa, and they're in the Caribbean as well. Yeah. We could be recolonized by China.
Yeah.
Because folks are letting them in. So, you know,
lots of questions. Can we have
time?
Sorry?
Go on. What were you going to say?
I was going to say, Joanne has asked 2 questions. Can we have a Pan-African agenda without remigration? Can we in the diaspora want a Pan-African movement while living in the West?
Yes.
I think, yeah, because I think wherever Black people are, Africans and Caribbeans, Black people of the African continent, wherever we are, we should be free and we should be happy and we should be safe. So we can want that. Because the only reason why we're talking about going back home is because there's shit here and they don't want us here. So go back and fix our country. That's one thing what we're doing. We're draining resources to be in the West. And those of us who were born into the West, and it is what it is, it's very... Sorry, I put a sweet in my mouth and I shouldn't have. Sorry. Those of us who were born in the West and raised in the West and don't know maybe as much about back home, we're allowed to be stable and we're allowed to have wants for our back home to be secure. And maybe it's a bit idealistic to have everybody go back because we have the right. We bore the earth, by the way. The Blacks bore the earth, so we should have free reign wherever we go. But we should have this kind of Pan-African mindset to ensure that our back home status is not seen with denigration or embarrassment, and we're okay and apathetic with it being oppressed and sanctioned in the way that it is. I think we need these Pan-African conversations to educate and inform, because we also like the stupid diaspora wars that we have where people just want to disassociate themselves from something that they came from. In the grand scheme of things, all these things is about re-education. So we have to have it. Maybe don't call it Pan-Africanism because that frightens people. Whatever the case is, we need to have an understanding about the continent that we were all born from. And
yes, and both of them, we also have ancestors that built up here. So I can be in the UK or you can be in America and criticize the fuck out of what the governments are doing and still want there to be a space in the Caribbean or in Africa where they're not taking the piss out of, because if they're doing it there, they're going to do it to us over here as well. It's like I can work and use the passport that I have to be able to travel the world, and also speak on the fact that it's not fair that people in Africa can't have a passport to be able to travel the world. It's like the two can go on like at the same time, really. I don't think you have to leave the belly of the beast to criticize it. You should also be doing something back home as well to help that out, and not go back over there with your colonialized mentality and be like, we're going to recreate that in Africa or in South America or in the Caribbean. No, it's like we have to, that's what our work is in the diaspora, is to actually really be able to see how we can take on a colonial mentality as well. But being a Pan-Africanist is just wanting the upliftment of Africans wherever the hell they are and reside. If I choose to go and live in Bali, it's our planet. No, I should be able to pick myself up and go and live on any land and respect the culture and what is going on in the land. Should be able to do that. We shouldn't even, as Miss Anne said, they just went about with crayons, not even thinking about the tribes and how people had forged communities and how they were living. They were just like, this is going to be Ghana, this is going to be Togo, this is going to be... What the hell? You
just on a whim. On their personal whim. Yeah, that it's impossible. I know it's just a question, but yeah, no, we can be wherever we want and want like us to be okay. It's fine. And I think it's more about maybe like, if I was a Caribbean African leader, I would be like, anyone of the diaspora, you've got to pay 10%, instead of 10% tithes to the church, 10% tithes back to your original homeland. What would that do? Yeah. What kind of infrastructure would that create? And again, with receiving end of not corrupt leaders who actually put it back into the country so that there is some sort of connection to our home. Yes, it's mandatory. If you're from somewhere else, you've got to pay 10% tithes, and maybe that will reconsider, like, okay, I'm paying taxes here and I've got to pay a tax back there. Where do I want to be? Actually, let me go back home and build some infrastructure there and make that comfortable, because that's where I'm supposed to be anyway. That's something that needs to be done that could also turn our mindsets into focusing back at home. Because one thing my mum always says, and other old elders say, you've got lots of African leaders who money is not in the country. Money is in other countries. Healthcare, they go to the other countries to get fixed because their healthcare at home is terrible. Things like that, drained resources. When you've got doctors, scholars, and people from these countries that live very well elsewhere, but aren't doing anything, as Nana said, not doing anything back home. I think it should be a bit mandatory that you do something to your home country.
I quite like that. I like that idea, actually.
Yeah.
I do think, yeah.
That's our next manifesto, the Auntie's Manifesto, 10% ties back to your home country. That's what, when I speak to Mohammed, I'll have a conversation with him and say, can we introduce this? All the Ghanaians will come for me. You want me to pay tax and tax again? Shut up.
I think just first point of call to be thinking of holidays. I think if we can try and go to an African Caribbean country, I think that is the first point of call to be helpful.
Yeah.
That at least money goes that way. And that's the same with like dining out and restaurants, like especially big groups. Just thinking you could save somebody's month by your birthday party being in their restaurant like that, and not going to like a Turkish shisha place. Like, it's just thinking a little bit more like that. Like, where are you spending your money? If we can just get just mindful that way, lots could change.
Lots could change. All right, we said we're gonna be out at 2. Ah, mate, you lot are annoying me. You lot aren't annoying me at all. Time is annoying me because it's against us today. I wanted to jump to, because we were talking about Africa, and I think I'm going to have a commitment to trying to mention Sudan or something that's going on in Africa as much as we can. Just Mehdi Unfiltered. Mehdi is doing a good stuff. Mehdi Hassan's he's got a new platform called Zatoro, which I quite enjoy. What's it called?
Zateo.
Sorry, my bad. I'm really enjoying that. He's had some good interviews on there. And then he's got unfiltered highlights. So basically, he's talking about the Sudan crisis being ignored by global media. This is a discussion video, and they don't really get into the meat and bones of everything that I guess we want to talk about, but just putting it out there and you guys can watch it. So just spreading some information. So there's constant information from what's going on in Africa. So a new episode of Mehdi Unfiltered highlights the ongoing genocide in Sudan, a human-made disaster that has been overlooked by much of the international media for 2 years. Mehdi Hassan speaks with Guardian columnist Nesreen Malik and Nirmat Ahmadi of the Darfur Women Action Group to explore why the atrocities remain neglected. So I'm just going to line the video up and then you guys can talk about yourself for a quick second.
Okay, I'll get a couple of comments.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Joe says we have to remember that the new colonialism is economical, trade agreements and the currency called the dollar. We will suffer before we thrive. And then he also said, so the Pan-African movement does need money and cooperation. We can include the Caribbean, but what about North Africa? What about them? Do they want to be included or not?
Yeah.
Who cares? We don't need to chase after anybody. You're a part of it or you're not. That's how it should be. Like, if they're not going to involve Africa in the UN, don't be a part of it. It's just,
and it's like literally begging to be a part of a gang. Get out of here. Sorry, buddy gang. I did correct myself. I didn't mean you lot. I'm annoyed of time going against us, but I'm annoyed because you lot are going to make us stay, and I like it. But it's annoying because
there was a plea for 2:20 because we started.
I know that's Bardi. Bardi's like, you started late. Bardi is our checker. He's my checker. You know, keeps me in check. I hear it, but no, you guys in Dane C, no, you have just got here. Welcome. Thank you for coming. You haven't annoyed. It's me because I know I'm a sucker for you guys saying stay a bit longer. It's really, I'm annoyed at myself. I'm projecting, okay? But yeah, sorry, I did cut you now. But yeah, we don't need to be part of the shit, man. No. So anyway, this I'll play this as a bit of a conversation. Like I said, doesn't necessarily get to the meat and bones of everything as early as I'd like, but it's just a little overview and a bit of a conversation about what's going on in Sudan.
Before then citing his trip to Sudan 3 months earlier as the worst thing he'd ever seen. And I know it's hard to imagine that what is happening in Sudan rivals the ugliness of what's happening in occupied Gaza. But what's really terrifying to know is that This is all happening in Sudan, away from the media and social media spotlights. After the country's plunge into civil war in 2023, with fighting breaking out between the country's military and a powerful militia known as the Rapid Support Forces, or RSF, the situation for people on the ground went from bad to dangerous to outright despicable. From extrajudicial killings to imprisonment to torture, more than 30 million people in Sudan urgently need humanitarian assistance, according to the United Nations. That's more than half of the country's population. Cities like Al Fasher, the state capital of Darfur, have endured over a year of siege by the RSF. A year. But it's not just bullets and bombs genociding the people of Sudan. It's also starvation. In a city like Tawila in northern Darfur, people survive with an average of just 3 liters of water per day, which is less than half the emergency minimum threshold of 7.5 liters needed per person per day. Elsewhere, people have resorted to eating animal feed as a means of survival. Oh, and last December, a famine was declared by the same people at the IPC who just declared a famine in Gaza. For far too long, we, the West, the media, all of us, have forgotten the people of Sudan. Joining me now in studio to discuss what some are calling the forgotten war, the forgotten genocide, is Nemat Ahmadi, leader of the Darfur Women Action Group. And joining me remotely is Nesrine Malik, an award-winning British Sudanese columnist with The Guardian. Thank you both for coming on Mehdi Unfiltered. Let me start with you, Nemat. I'm assuming you still have family, friends, communities back in Sudan. How are they faring right now? How are they doing?
Unfortunately, I can't even begin to describe how they're doing. As you mentioned, Al Fasher has been under siege for more than a year. People are left with nothing. As I speak to you, people are dying in silence. We have family, we have relatives, we have friends, people we know. People are trapped, suffering hunger, lack of water, lack of access to health, and all survival means because of precisely the rapid support forces cut the city off, prevented fuel from entering into Al Fasher, preventing food, and even those who ventured to flee on foot were killed and raped. I have an aunt who has been sick for well over a year, and she couldn't leave. So my other aunt remained because they cannot leave her behind because she can't walk. This is simply one person, but many more. Their stories are horrifying.
It is horrifying just hearing you speak about what's happening. Nesrine, you and I spoke over a year ago about the situation in Sudan. Back then, you told me that it was very hard to get information out from Sudan to paint just how bad things are. How bad have things gotten a year later? Is it any easier to get information or news out of Sudan?
It's easier, but also harder because the theater of war has expanded so dramatically in Sudan over the past year. And I actually can't believe it's been a year since we spoke. Two things have shifted. One is the capital city, Khartoum, has been liberated from the RSF, which means that there's much more information arising from Khartoum and sort of broader parts of eastern Sudan and the regions of Al Jazeera, to which people are now returning. So there's more information, much more information, and much more transparency about what went down basically under the siege of the RSF over the past, say, year and a half. And horrific stories are emerging from there, and the circumstances that people lived in for so long and the terror under which they survived under the reign of the RSF. So there's parts of Sudan for which there is much more information, much more access. Lots more journalists have been allowed in and have come back and given us a sort of apocalyptic description of what went down in the capital city. But then there are other parts of Sudan to which Nemat alluded to, which are completely blockaded. All that we get are snippets of social media, videos. People have taken videos sort of undercover, under huge risk, to bring us these stories. And so even the kind of patchiness of the information that we're getting in is creating a fractured and inconsistent view of what the war is. People are seeing refugees returning to parts of Sudan. Something like 500,000 people have returned to Khartoum I think in the month of July alone. And so it looks like life is sort of semi-returning to normal in some parts, but in other parts, it's a total crucible of suffering, starvation, fear, and killings.
So, this is a long video as well, and I've dropped the link in for you guys to watch it. But it's just to highlight, it's been going on. It's going on in Sudan. Similar things, sanctioning, like restriction of aid, restriction of information, genocide is happening, starvation, famine is happening, and there's not enough information. There is information if you want to look for it. The United Nations, the UN, estimates that more than half of Sudan's population, over 30 million people, are in urgent need of humanitarian assistance. There's deadly disease, outbreaks, mass displacement, widespread hunger, nearly 100,000 suspected cholera cases. Yeah, it's just, and as Shaka was saying, not just Shaka and other people saying that, if they weren't brown people, if this wasn't Africa, this would have a lot more attention on it. Apart from, if it's just starving, famine, I don't know what the difference is when we had Live Aid, when that famine was the thing. But I think that, and I don't know if I'm being too conspiracy woo-woo, if that tied in with keeping Africa looking like the dependent, impoverished continent where you don't want to be a part of that, and that's all it is. That was that narrative, and we've come so far from those days where Africa doesn't look like that. It's not the poster of Africa anymore. So I wonder if, because they can't throw that image in our faces and keep us subservient to that, that's why it's not as easy to make us care or like to put it in the news, because having us desperate and destitute is a great news piece of benevolence and dependency to keep that going. Now we have broken out of that potentially. Is it now, what's the reason why that it's not making the news?
Interesting. I hadn't actually thought about it from that angle. I mean, even with that famine that took place, we still wasn't shown the whole story. They weren't tell us why it got there.
Yeah.
Point where you're having people dying of starvation, because there's always roads that you can stop it, and then learning afterwards that there actually was, again, that loads of food in different parts that could have got to Ethiopia very easily. It's interesting. Why don't I still don't know. I know, like, on the ground sometimes people are talking about like just the level of poverty and access to phones and media to share from people on the ground is very different to the state of play within Palestine. That may be one part, but also journalists being there, like, there just doesn't seem to be the news pieces from people even discussing what is taking place. But
then yeah, and I can imagine like a platform, whatever news platform, will be like, okay, we got Gaza, we got Sudan, what's going to get us the most? Because then it plays into numbers and likes and
exactly, yeah.
Always at people's, it's like and that's where, without disrespecting what is going on in Palestine and the genocide that's happening in Palestine, it is when I said, I think I was one who said it before, and people kind of upset me saying that when I say fad and in fashion, but it's like that is all trending. There's no nicer word to give it, but it's what's most popular is what the news outlets are going to go for, because everyone's talking about their bottom line and their money and their profit margins. So what popular is what they're going to lean. That's what happens all the time on whether they care or not. You can take away whether they care or not. It's just the fact that if we don't hit these numbers, we go down in the ratings, then our platform's closed. That's how everyone sees it. That's how they operate. So if Gaza is the one and everyone's talking about, you want to be the first time, if you're going to go off and talk about Sudan or a country that, the world is not really ready to understand, and especially if they're not clear, I don't know, they don't want to be clear about what's happening and why it's happening, then they're going to ignore it. Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you so much, Kevin. Thank you so much, Kevin. Kevin says the channel Pan-African Television has given good coverage, and the former channel African Stream, well, they got to African Stream basically and removed it. Okay, we will definitely check out Pan-African Television.
Thank you. And thank you for the background. Thank you very, very much. Guys, why is Kevin anyone contributing, by the way? Sunday Times.
Sunday Times. You know what you got to do.
The African in me is now saying, can you put your money in your hand in your pocket? The British in me is saying, oh my God, I can't ask. African is coming out. I beg you, get on with it, man. We need to build the church roof.
Exactly. You know, this is so funny because I guess probability is most people watching us are probably in the UK. Now, the Americans really do know how to stand on business in a live stream and send through their money all the time. Like, and if you can't send us any money, you can still support us most definitely by subscribing to Your Aunties Could Never. Please do that because we are like I think we're now 40 away from getting our first 10K, and that means a lot. They do spike you up once you go into the double digits. So it's like our reach will be expanded quite a bit if we get to 10K. So please make that happen for us. If you don't have the money that jingles or folds, just subscribe because that's free.
Yeah. Oh, Dane, thank you. Oh, okay.
I love it when you guys respond.
Thank you, Dane. Dwala. Thank you so much. Thank you, Ashes. Thank you. It's helped, and I'm always feeding myself, but not enough. Thank you so much, Ashes to Ashes. I beg, thank you so much. That's very, very gorgeous of you. See, now I get all shy and British. Sorry.
Thank you.
Oh no, they responded. But thank you. It's like, again, it's not for me to buy Louboutins. It's for us to keep the show going, basically. I thought you told us to give our 10% to the countries of our originals, aka yes, and support your Pan-African sisters in the diaspora. Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, body gang.
Bless you, body. Thank you. I'm listening in my headphones whilst I'm working on a Sunday. But I'm happy to be on the live show. Haven't been in for ages. And no, I'd missed you. Thank you, Bardi.
And thank you, guys. Bardi keeps me in check, boy. You're working. I hope your day's going well, and I hope we're kind of supporting you through the day.
Yes,
thank you. Thank you, Design, to appreciate the virtual money. That means you're sending good thoughts and good vibes our way. So thank you very much. Yeah. So that's that. Let's move on to another. Oh, Rianne. Thank you. Thank you, Rianne. Thank you very much. Thank you. Next story, because the UK is a crock of shit at times. UK faces a crisis of child-on-child sex abuse. So, trigger warning. Police and child protection experts warn of a surge in child-on-child sexual abuse, with over half of perpetrators aged 10 to 17 and cases of rape amongst the offences recorded. I'm going to share screen, and I don't know how to feel about it. Not that, I mean, it's horrific, but I want to find the cause and the root and understanding why this is happening. Thank you for the warning.
The massive rise in child upon child abuse, and I would say it's a crisis that's happening now.
Sky News is the first broadcaster to film inside the National Association for People Abused in Childhood, which provides the UK's only national helpline for all types of victims.
Take your time. I know it's difficult to have these conversations.
We discover disturbing new trends in offending.
Pornography is becoming more extreme, more violent. We've got a generation of boys that see that as normal behaviour.
And listen to shocking experiences endured by some young people.
They were buried to the point of death, and then they were revived, and that was a ritual that they went through.
Asking what is the big threat to our children right now. We've been given exclusive access to NAPAC support service based in Stockport. Every year they hear from around 10,000 victims. Through here is the helpline. Now, volunteers and staff receive calls and emails from all over the country, and victims could be talking about physical, emotional, or sexual abuse. And in many cases, this is the first time they've told anyone about what happened to them. The first call of the day.
Hello, you're through to someone you can talk to?
A man who was so badly beaten as a child by his father that he was left with broken bones.
Are you seeing him on a daily basis now?
The victim is now having to look after his elderly abuser.
He's caring for his father, which is triggering all those unsafe feelings that he had when he was a child. So he's really struggling with that at the minute.
And was he just looking for someone to talk to you, do you think, or was it he was wanting signposting to other services? What do you think he was sort of wanting from the call?
He just wanted that safe space because he said it. He said, just thank God there's people like you out there that I can talk to.
Since NAPAC started in 1998, they've become aware of trends when it comes to offending.
Ritual abuse is quite big as well.
What exactly do you mean by ritual abuse?
They have like robes on with hoods, and there could be a child or a teenager, and they are ritually sexually abused for a purpose, and that purpose could be to raise some kind of demon. We've had multiple callers that have talked to us about being triggered by the smell of soil. And their memory has been that they were buried to the point of death, and then they were revived. Yeah, it's horrible, really horrible. And, you know, the staff had to have a lot of support.
Sadie, not her real name, was sexually abused by her biological father when she was a young child. Her testimony is portrayed by an actor.
It's the feeling in my body that I remember most from my childhood. Not just of the act itself, but of the constant feeling of being dissociated from your body, always having stomach aches, just feeling unclean. That was my body trying to tell me throughout my whole childhood, like screaming its alarm at me, going, you're not safe, you're in danger.
Sadie emailed NAPAC, fully disclosing the abuse for the first time.
You just kind of assume that people are going to fob you off a little bit. So for them to come back and be like, we believe you, it's okay to feel what you're feeling, it wasn't your fault. It was very centered around me and where I was at that moment. I then contacted one of the agencies that they told me about and began having direct support for the abuse.
Like Sadie, young people are at risk of being sexually abused by family members. But through our time with NAPAC, we discovered a growing threat to our children, other children. The National Police Chiefs Council collates data on sexual offences against young people for England and Wales. It shows that, where age was recorded, over half of all perpetrators were between the ages of 10 to 17. That means in 1 year, over 39,000 children sexually abused or exploited other children. And when there was more than one perpetrator, child-on-child abuse is now the second highest and more common than child sexual exploitation, which includes grooming gangs. NAPAC works with the police in responding to group-based sexual offending.
One of the most shocking findings in 2024 is the massive rise in child-upon-child abuse. So that means within a group-based setting, 2 or more people, 24% of those are children committing serious sexual contact offences against other children. This represents a fundamental shift in this type of group-based offending. This is happening now, and I would say it's a crisis that's happening now.
The National Police Chiefs Council supports forces in tackling abuse, including child-on-child.
Over 40% of those crimes are crimes that relate to indecent images of children. And amongst those, the vast majority are self-generated images that have been taken by a child, usually a teenager, who shares it with a boyfriend or a girlfriend, and that is consensual. Where it changes is when a child is coerced into taking those photographs and sharing them. Children have access to pornography. That pornography is becoming more violent and it's become misogynistic. And because of that ease of access for a generation of boys in particular, then very often they see that as normal behaviour. They act it out with girls. 17% of crimes that are committed against children by other children are rape offences.
There's going to be an inquiry into grooming gangs. Given that your data shows that child-on-child abuse is more prevalent than grooming gangs, it does beg the question, will we see an inquiry in the future into child-on-child sexual abuse?
We can't criminalise a generation of children. So there needs to be that prevention, that education approach. But we've got to respond right the way across different types of offending, different methods of offending. Because if we don't do that and others get ignored, then you're absolutely right, that will be the next sort of critical thing that as a society will say we've failed with, and we can't afford to fail.
A government spokesperson said they are taking forward a wide range of actions to help prevent child sexual abuse, bring more offenders to justice, and improve the support available to victims and survivors.
Because it is a 9-minute video, it's only finished. But yeah, what gave me a little bit of interesting context was when they said it's like that kind of phone sharing and pictures. And so remember, when we think about child abuse and stuff like that, there's a whole spectrum of it. So where your mind might go to the extremes, what the actor recreating that story goes through. There's also, I shared a picture of my boyfriend to my girlfriend. It got found out, then I got in trouble. So there's that. So that I guess some of that, not to diminish it, there's context to those numbers. But sure, young people abusing young people because of what they're being force-fed in all the medias and all the things on social media and porn and everything. It's a no-brainer that's going to happen.
Yeah, yeah. And there has to be some type of, that you need awareness campaigns, but there has to be some forms of punishments for this as well. Because it is everywhere. It wasn't even too long ago that when they were talking about the sharing of images, one of my son's friends got sent images of another girl, and it all came out in the dance world that this image of this girl that she had sent to one boy that she was seemingly doing things with had been passed around in a group. And the shame that girl felt, and then subsequent spiraling after that, is a form of abuse. So yes, it's not the physical things that immediately I was thinking, but there's still real world consequences that she is now suffering because of that. But there isn't a form of punishment. Obviously, parents, we've all been informed of this, but to the boy that shared, that got it sent around, nothing happened. Really. It got told off. It's like there has to be something around this and some type of teaching. Yeah, we need real education around this properly for all of us, parents included. How do we navigate this space where they have phones that can go onto the internet, where you can just watch anything on X?
Yeah.
How do we navigate all of that?
And finding a way to stop having sex as a weapon, something that's so easily weaponized against people. Like and this is about the shame side of it. I'm not talking about anything else. I'm talking about the shame of it all, where to shame, especially it's usually girls. It's either going to be girls or people who are LGBTQ. That's where the shaming of your sexuality or the shaming of your sexual activity is used against you. There needs to be more teaching about that. And if porn has more restrictions, that's just one angle. It's just a society. We look at a certain leader that's popular, his rhetoric when it comes to women. I think I saw a clip where he just recently said that women need to just shut up and listen to their man. They don't like that. No, he said, what did we say about domestic violence? Right? Yeah. He said domestic violence is it's a minor. So all that stuff, we need to really, and it's such a big ask. Can society just stop with the shaming of sex and sexual activity? There's that. And then that shame is what's tied to keeping so many people quiet when they do get abused. That shame, and especially even like body response, natural body response to something that's happening to you doesn't mean to say you want it or you're doing it, but your body also has a natural way of being. All those things get tied into shame and complicitness and feeling guilty about something that's been done to you. Oh, you liked it, you wanted it, look how you responded, look how you went, all that kind of mindset manipulation. Just take away the shame of sex, however you do that, first and foremost. And then let's get the victims protected. I don't know.
It really is a hard one. Dami J was saying recently the Shade Borough posted the police collecting the phone of a schoolgirl sharing graphic images of another school child, and the mum refused to cooperate. although it's come out, I first saw that and I thought, is this a sketch? Because
I didn't understand the story.
So basically, the broad length of it is a long investigation. It seems like it's escalated bullying. So this is a part of it as well. The girl that they were trying to collect her phone seems to have some images, and the video that put out, the police are saying, is heavily edited. So it seems like the police are being really unreasonable, asking for something that is very trivial, but it's actually that it's an important piece of evidence that they just thought, in talking to the mother, they would find a reasonable adult who was just going to hand this over so that they could try and tie this up in whichever form it is. But the mum didn't want to comply, basically, and put it out there for people to then go at the police officer because she's a Muslim. Two women, like, it's just got all of the racists up in arms, like this is a police state now type of shit. But it's a serious, and it does tie into this because it is a serious part of society. There are lots of different ways that kids are being bullied, and sex is a part of it. But there's so much imagery. I don't know how you take the shame out of sex. I don't know how long that campaign is. I'm not sure.
I think it's hard because then, and like I said, it's a mad when it's tied to abuse, because the abuser should be ashamed. So there's that. But and then we're talking about child on child, and children have such warped understanding. For you to abuse you've got something. If you're just abusing without having any influence out of anything, if you just motivate to do that, there's something wrong with you. But if you've been influenced in any way, shape, or form, whether you're a victim of abuse and you're going on to abuse, you are growing up in a world where, in this red pill society, where women are literally scums of the earth, and you've got to keep them down and hold them down. And you know that a woman with sexual agency is a threat, or you believe that, then that's where the shame comes in, and that's what needs to be eradicated. So all those things, knowing that sex can be weaponized, is the problem. Is a big problem, especially for young people, especially when they're doing that. We're going to shame, we're going to share, we're going to. Do you know what I mean? And that's a way to keep you quiet. There's that's that part of shame. But other than that, it's the society that's warping kids' minds into thinking that this type of behavior is okay. When you have the red pill community that thinks that to have dominion over women is on girls, and girls are evil people that need to be kept quiet, that's a problem. When you have a president or a leader who is taking away women's rights in all sorts of aspects, and to do with like their own choice, right to choose, and all that type of stuff. There's all of that society-wise. And then you've got to really understand your children, like what's going on with them. Are they mentally unstable? And recognizing those signs. And then, are you an enabler? Like this parent possibly don't have the full story.
Yeah, it's really hard actually dealing with parents at this moment in time. Like just trying to sort it out, which you think would be a simple conversation that I had with a parent just the other day. It looked like a group was trying to form to bully my eldest son. So I'm like, let's go and speak to one of the parents. We're all African, like let's talk about it. And her immediate defense that went up to what I'm thinking is, this is a very simple conversation. You just speak to your son about this. I'm speaking to my son and we can squash it. Her immediate defense in, my child would never do that. You're just like, are you stupid?
Yeah, stop.
And I'm still like, just go through his phone then. Like, you don't have to put my word for it. Go through his phone and look at this group, and then you'll be able to see how involved your son was or not. Like, really. But she was just getting hit up. So then I did have to start cussing. Like, I didn't even want to. I didn't want to have an argument with her.
Yeah,
we could just have a normal convo. Like, they don't need to be friends. Just make sure that your child just stays away from my kid. That's all it is. And I'm telling my son the same. Like, so that will be it. Why do you want authorities to come in this? Like, you can't talk. But sometimes I find parents too will keep abuses going for the fear of being like, my child is bad. And it's like, sometimes your child is bad, innit? Like, you just gotta put things up, like,
And that holds a mirror up to you. What have you done? And yes, we like to say that I can't blame the kid, parents all the time, but sometimes it's just like, what are you neglecting? Just it could be a little thing that you need to tweak. We've had conversations before that parents don't have a manual, and you don't know what you're doing half the time. And you're, as a human being, when you're stressed, the first thing to go are the people around you, like the first people to suffer are the people around you, because you can't handle what's going on. So there could be a thing like, oh, do you know what? You know what? I'm actually taking that extra half an hour to get home. When I need to be in half an hour early, I can rest after I've made sure my son or my daughter is at home, give them something to eat, give a 5-minute conversation, then I can get my rest. Or being in the house, being present, and you go and take your rest whilst your kids are around. There's just different things that could happen that you need to tweak.
That is literally all it probably was. Yeah. And she is relying on her child to get home and not be doing shenanigans as he's going along. And sometimes you need a heads up, like, actually, you may think he is acting this way because this is how he's presenting, but he's not.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't need all of the defense of not my child. Is that yes, your child? And then do you want me to knock you out? Like, just we could just have a convo. And I feel sorry for teachers as well, because I can imagine like they're having to deal with parents when you just want to tell them all you need to do is exercise a little bit more discipline in this, and then they're getting defensive.
Yeah. I mean, look, Strike 22 says these kids also need to go home. I see so many kids hanging around after school. We all know what they're up to no good. We hung around after school. We weren't necessarily up to no good. You might be smoking a little bit. Maybe we're teething a little bit. Okay, so there's up to no good.
That, I know it. I too was like a proper latchkey kid.
Yeah.
So I knew that I had a window of 2 hours where I could follow people home and then still get home, and nobody knew that I wasn't home. Yeah. But I was smart enough to not be getting in trouble. So if your kid is getting in trouble in that time, sometimes you've got to change some shit.
Yeah, like, that's a part. Literally. I mean, for me, I was working at the BBC, and then the second role I had, the woman I worked for was a taskmaster. She's like 9-6. You're not leaving before or after. Be on time. Don't leave after. And my daughter was starting to go for getting bullied at school and going through some stuff. And I feel like I'm missing that crucial pick up from school moment because she's not having me there. It's going to a childminder or whatever. And it wasn't working for us. I know it's not as easy, but I managed to get a part-time role at the BBC. And now I was at the school gate every day at 3:30 to pick up my child. So she had that moment with me and I could just be there and present for her because that's when she needed me. I made that decision. I know it's not easy for everybody, but I made that decision. And I was blessed to get a role that allowed me to do that. I had a boss that allowed me to accommodated my childcare needs. But it didn't solve everything, but it helped that she had someone that had her corner, I can pick her up and just know that her safe space when she was getting bullied at school. Maybe if I'd chosen work, maybe I'm like, oh, I'm a single mother. What can I do? I've got to pay my bills. Maybe things would have been worse than my child. Maybe I remember when she got beaten up so badly by a girl who had issues. She definitely had learning difficulties. The girl bust my daughter up. My daughter still showed up the next day, which I was so proud of her. She went to school the next day and she was even nice to the girl. I said, like, why did you do that to me? And the girl didn't have all her faculties. She wasn't completely correct, but I had her back. It didn't stop it, but it's just the fact that she had someone that had a safe space that she could come home to, and her mum was there having her back. Sometimes you just need to show up for kids in ways that they know that they're safe, especially when they're.
What did the school do?
The schools, it was like one of those near the end. The girl wasn't allowed to come to the end of school prom and stuff like that. And I was like, listen, she needs to be suspended. There needs to be more. I remember going
way.
And the thing is, this is the whole deviation. They really went in on my child at times because they said that my daughter's got anger problems and stuff like that. And when I think about it, it's a time when she didn't have anger problems, but she was getting bullied and she was defending herself. Like when people were taking the piss, she would defend herself as tiny as she was. And she was just put in the problematic child category. And it's a bit like, what's going on? And the only thing for me is that I was very isolated because when I had my daughter, I'm the only one of my group. There's one other person who had a child, but it just was a different thing. So I was quite isolated. Like when you've spoken about, having conversations, even when we were in our debate group on Facebook, when people were talking about having communities of parents doing things together, I didn't have that. I was very much a single mum in that respect, not people my age that we could be like lean on each other. So I felt quite isolated. So there's times when I could have maybe pushed the school even more. The school definitely hated to see me come in. I was definitely that mum, but there's only so much I could do. I felt like I could do. So I just made sure.
Surprised. I'm so surprised with the school because it's like when I was there, I definitely know it's gone downhill.
It's not Grey Coast, to be fair, that was her primary school. Grey Coast,
because
but Grey Coast was bad too.
I'm still so surprised because it's like bullying was so zero tolerance.
Mm.
Like a sniff of it. It's how girls would get you, was to go to a teacher and be like, I'm being bullied. I would end up in the office oftentimes because I've just argued with you and it's like, oh, Nana's bullying me. And then you just get pulled out. But folks were being expelled like all the time.
No.
Little things you could come out. There were a lot of them that were black that would get expelled, but it's like I have like 5 friends that got expelled from there.
No,
the different things, but it's that's shocking that even it would be allowed. But primary school, come on now, that's crazy.
Yeah, and the thing is, I definitely think there was some, the girl was. I need to get my daughter to remind me. She's at work today to remind me of like what happened to the girl, because I believe that she wasn't kicked out, and I remember that there was a thing like she couldn't go to maybe the end of school prom or something like that, or did she get to go because end of year or something like that? It wasn't sufficient. Wow. And I just remember my daughter, like she stomped on my child. She stomped on her. And the thing that I was like, I said to her, you're brave and you're bigger than this. She went back in and she confronted us. Like, why, if you ever do that, I will mash you up. And this girl was, like the typical child that's too big for the age group. Like not too big as in it's her fault, but she's big. She's got learning difficulties, problems at home. She was the archetype characteristic of the bully, because it wasn't even necessarily a bully, she just had anger issues and stuff like that because of her neurodivergence, like I should call it, I guess. So in that respect, maybe the teachers were like, well, this is who she is, so we can't do this, that, and the other. But my child was on the brutal end of her beating, and it was a significant moment, like horrible. But these are the things. It's like showing up for your child and not just assuming. Because even whenever the school called me down or I had to go down to go and deal with something, I never went in with my child would never. I'm like, let me see while I go on, because I always said I would never do what my mum did. And whenever I got in trouble, my mum was like crying in the chair. She's an old school immigrant mum, so different. So she was like, oh, and she was like, don't do this, don't embarrass me, da, 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 da. So she had that. I said, I'd never do that to my child. I'll hear both sides and let's go home and deal with it. My child always knew that my mum has got my fucking back. And sometimes kids just need to know that their parents are showing up for them. Even if you get in trouble, even if you ground them, they know that deep down, my mum and my dad are gonna ride for me. And even when I'm wrong, it's fair punishment that I'm getting, not just irrational because they're siding with the school and believing stuff. Kids need so much. So you can never say not my child. And if your child's doing and when it comes to sex, your kids aren't telling you fuck all.
Just going through their phone, you just see how much stuff they have access to, and every parent needs to be doing that all the time, just going through their phone, making sure, going through the group chats, and sometimes they're in so many different group chats, but it's a part of parenting now. There's extra things that you just got to do in your day to just keep an eye on what is going on, because there's too many areas that they can fall into and be influenced by their peers in lots of different ways. Yeah, it's scary out here. It's a different time.
It's a different time. And let me just quick, I said Grey Coats was terrible. I said she had some good times there. I just, because now in the world of everyone saying, oh, you said this and you're influential. Let me be clear that I had moments with Grey Coats school that I didn't appreciate for the way that my daughter went through those years at that school. There were other times that she had a great time, and I definitely chose the school for the reputation of how it looked good on her CV. Still does. There's benefits, but there were also some negatives to her being in a school for middle upper class people, predominantly white. You had a great contingency of black middle class African and Caribbean students, but my daughter still experienced racism. She still experienced ignorant teachers talking shit, and definitely
that didn't change. We definitely had that.
Yeah,
I definitely suffered the same thing of teachers and their ignorance, and what they wanted blackness to show up as.
Yes, exactly.
Like they have a look of what they wanted the black girls to be, and if you fell outside of that or didn't play along with it, they got rid of you. As I said, in the years that I was there, it was a lot of black girls that got expelled. There was a few white girls that got expelled as well, but they had a standard of what they wanted you to present as.
Yeah.
You play along or they get rid of you.
Yeah, 100%. And that's a whole conversation about. It's another conversation about schools and sending your children to state, private, and what you want them to be, experience. I definitely sent my daughter to Greycoats because it reminded me of my school, Ursuline in Wimbledon. And I think the way that I grew up in school, going to that school in particular, and to all my schools are very predominantly white, and in Wimbledon, it allowed me to not be fearful of white people, because I feel like sometimes when you grow up in the hood and you stay within a black bubble, especially what society throws at you, sometimes you put white people on a pedestal that you never take them down off of, so you're always feeling subservient to them, then you feel inferior for the rest of your life. I believe, plus I've been fostered by them, but I was also, for whatever reason, it wasn't like my mum was very political at home at all, but for whatever, I was so black in my core that nothing, all the experiences I experienced, I should be less political than I am, and probably a lot more, as someone would say, more coconutty, but I'm not. But that's what was in my core. So I was able to resist any kind of temptation, but that's what I wanted my daughter to experience. I wanted to, in the belly of the beast, as it were, understand that you are not inferior to any white person. And that's not to diss white people. It's the fact that black children or immigrant children are raised in a country, in a world that puts them as lesser than, unless they're growing in their home countries. So when you go into institutions and you've got teachers and authoritarians who don't have a well-rounded view of who you are as a black or immigrant person, you need all the resources. And sometimes being inside the belly of beast and understanding that is helpful. That's what I thought. My child still suffered. So
it's a hard one, isn't it? Will Smith says Westminster Greycoats had such a good rep when my last ex was looking at schools, didn't get in, but got into Burntwood instead, which was okay. She did well.
The fact that your point was so great, but then also my ex before my last ex, you also had to have controversy. It's like you can never just be straight, Will Smith. It's got to be a bit of drama in it. But yeah, like I said, every school goes through its years and cycles of doing well. And I'm not shitting on Greycoats per se. I'm just saying my experience as a parent with a child that went through the school at my point, this was like, she's 25 now, so it's about 10, 15 years ago. It wasn't great.
So what's that? That is like
2012 to 2015, 16.
And I left there in 96. Oh my God, that is so crazy. But even the fact, like, the head teacher that your daughter had, she was a language teacher when I was there, and I hated her. She was literally thought that she was such a prat. Like, we used to ignore her. Like, she was so insignificant. I was like, how did she manage to get to be head? Like, she was such a dud.
Well, maybe that's what it was when she was like not listened to. Now she had to exercise power. I don't want to be too. I don't want to, because we have power now. I don't want to be too specific, but there was a particular person who was like us, who I was like, you are a detriment. But anyway, let's move on. Let's move on because it's 2:25. Yeah, God, you've got 5 extra minutes, but I've got to. We've got more stories, but we do have to wrap up. But I'm going to go on.
What is our final? Are we doing final 2?
Okay, final. First of all, because let me see. Nah, let's go straight into, because this might take a little minute because I need to laugh. This is the nonsense. Guys, who of you Christians up in here believe the rapture was happening on the
I can't even lie. I thought this was flipping hilarious.
23rd and 24th of September, South Africa. And I did not know this origin of where it came from. I saw it, like I said, I've been busy. So I didn't get into it. I just heard people talking about the rapture's coming. I was like, absolutely no, it's not. But then I ignored it. And then I said, when I get some time, I'm going to look into it. I did not know that it was a South African preacher, Joshua Malakela, who claimed Jesus told him the rapture would occur between the 23rd and 24th of September during the Jewish Feast of Trumpets. He has been forced to explain himself after nothing happened. His live stream urging followers to keep waiting has since been deleted, while other faith leaders who promoted the prediction have apologized. Joseph said that, the rapture is a belief among some evangelicals that true believers will be taken to heaven while others will face tribulation. Followers on TikTok created.
There were loads of people in Utah that were selling all of their stuff.
Yes. Followers on TikTok created Rapture Talk with viral videos and widespread hysteria leading up to the date. One Australian evangelist even gave away his car, convinced he would not need it again. Other pastors and believers criticized the prophecy, saying the Bible warns against predicting dates. Makalala has not appeared online since, with critics calling his claims misleading and damaging. So I've got loads of little clips of stuff, of Instagram clips and all that stuff, because it was just this is what I was like, no, people, no, you did not. No, you didn't. So did you believe the rapture was coming now? Did you start to prepare?
I didn't mind if it had taken place. So the 23rd was actually my mum's birthday as well. So I was like, actually, it wouldn't have been a bad lot if the rapture did take place. Maybe I'll see her. Maybe I'll see her in passing as I go down. Like, who knows where you end up? Like, so I was like, if we're all gonna die, it's not so bad. Anyway, I'm not gonna sell anything though. Like, and I wish I had bucked up. I saw one cab guy. He got given a bundle of money from one of these people that was crying, being like, well, the end is going to happen. I'm like, I wish somebody just gave me money with that.
Wish. So this is what happened in South Africa or somewhere. Where was it? My point is, on the walk home after it didn't happen, what is the conversation with your people?
Maybe tomorrow?
Like, what do you do? And you've taken the baby. Imagine if you had an argument with your partner. Don't take the baby. I'm taking the baby. Don't take the baby. I'm taking the baby. We are off. You stay there. You stay at home. And then you got to come back home to your partner that you argued with because you took the baby to nonsense. Now the baby's got a cold because he's around all the people, not settled because daddy took me to the rapture.
Do y'all know there's people who believe the rapture is happening this Tuesday, September 23rd on TikTok, and they're not joking. I was going to put some of their videos in here, but I don't want to embarrass them if they're wrong or if I'm wrong. They're selling their cars, clothes. Some people are making like post-rapture kits for the people who are left behind. And the thing is, my question to them is, if the rapture is indeed happening on Tuesday, September 23rd, what time zone is it happening at? Because the whole thing about the rapture that I was taught was in no man knows the day nor the hour. But if it's on Tuesday for sure, what time zone? Because if it's like, say, 6 p.m. Eastern on Tuesday, the 23rd, that means it's already Wednesday in a whole part of the world, right? So then it's like Tuesday for us, Wednesday for y'all. But say it's 12 a.m., right, Eastern. Like as soon as it turns the 23rd on Eastern, then it's still 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time in LA where I live, and it's 6 p.m. in Hawaii. You know, there's 24 time zones on Earth, and 38 if you include the ones that have like half-hour time. So what? No man knows how y'all all know. If the Bible says no man knows how y'all all know, and y'all preparing, but the trumpet, what you gonna do? Because what happened to the no man know part of it, which is a big part.
You probably saw the video of the Uber driver who got a nice little chunk of money from people who are not going to be here after tomorrow. So they gave their money to him. Have you been on your local Facebook Marketplace? Who else feels like Facebook Marketplace is about to be full of some good deals? About to pick up a bike right now for a really good price. All I know is that Facebook Marketplace is jumping. I'm not even on Facebook like that. I don't have it on my phone. I rarely ever go on. But something told me with the rapture coming, look at Facebook Marketplace and see what people are getting rid of.
Now, given the fact that many people are stating that Tuesday is Rapture Day, meanwhile, many of us have not received an email, a voice note, a text message, or a bird in the sky from JC or Sky Daddy in reference to this, here are the rules for the rapture. Rule number 1, I hope the rapture comes during the day and not at night when I'm in my bedclothes with my bunny on. I do not want to meet my maker in my PJs, as that would be unprofessional. Now, because of the amount of people, there will be a line. I'm not sure who's working the gate, but I would like a fast pass or a VIP wristband to go ahead and go to the front. Number 3, I am hoping that there is a heaven HIPAA policy where they will take me to the side and discuss my book of life and the things that I have done in privacy and not in front of everybody. They don't need to know how I got in here. Now, because we're not sure exactly who's running the wardrobe department, I would like to go ahead and state that I would like my wings blinged out. Now, we're already wearing a crown and a robe, so we're already over accessorizing. My wings need to pop. Now, given how quickly this is going to happen, if I forget something or I need to go out to the store real quick, I am wondering about the re-entry policy. Hopefully my Fast Pass VIP wristband will get me back in. I do not want to stand in line again. 6, I would like to be introduced to all personnel like it's Lazarus. Is he over the fun and games? And how do we decide what funding goes where so that I can get on a certain committee? I don't know if we have hard and fast rules for visitation. Now, given the fact that many people are stating that Tuesday is Rapture.
Yeah, I'd like to.
Good morning, Rapturees. If you are in fact preparing to head out, and leave your earthly possessions behind, you are more than welcome to donate any of your earthly finances that you will not be taking with you to I appreciate everything you've done, and
Mom, the rapture is tomorrow.
Praise the Lord. You out of here.
What? You ready to
No.
go? What you gonna wear?
What I'm gonna wear?
Yes, because you cannot see the Lord looking like that. Brother Joshua.
I want who?
Brother Joshua.
They don't know what you're talking about. The book say no man knows. The book say no man knows.
We'll check back in tomorrow and see if we're still here.
Yeah, there's just a lot of funny, stupid videos that were made. There was like warnings and trips. I thought this one was quite a bit funny because it's this guy pretending to be Jesus. There's just lots of stupidness, that's all. Lots of nonsense.
Hey, how are you? It is Rapture Day. Can you believe it? Crazy, right? How am I feeling? I'm okay. Yeah, funny enough, I actually don't think I'm going. Yeah, just like feeling conflicted. Like I feel like there's not really anyone down there that deserves to be here, and the few people who do like need to stay. Like I can't just go and like take all the good people, you know? They've just been like so nasty. Like so nasty. Yes. Well, first of all, they share pictures of me all the time that aren't real. Like legitimately all the time. Yes. They also like misquote me. They like make quotes up, like things I've literally never said in my life. And then they take the things that I've actually said out of context and weaponize it to their advantage. It's just like, it's gross. It's so gross. And I'm just like so sick of it. And also I don't want to hang out with them when they get here. You know? Also just like whatever. Like let them make their TikToks, let them freak out. Like it's kind of fun to watch, if I'm being honest. Is that bad of me? I don't know. I think I'm just gonna like order in and just have like a me day, you know? Thank you. I'm glad that you agree. Yeah. Well, thanks for checking in on me. I appreciate it. Yeah. Okay. We'll talk soon. Bye-bye. I really am that girl.
So stupid, but yeah, I had fun going down the rabbit hole of. You're on mute, darling.
I think there'll be some Christians that are really offended by that.
100%. Well, I thought that was funny, and I did think that you'd be offended, but I thought it was a funny take. But yeah, there was lots of crazy people. Oh, there's this woman. Sorry, this woman was quite crazy. I have to show you her. But yeah.
So did nobody in the chat actually think that the rapture was going to happen? Like there's no preppers in the place.
Of TikTok where Christians think the rapture is happening on the 23rd of this month because the Israeli government is sacrificing a bunch of red heifers and then going onto the mountain blowing trumpets, which signals the end times.
So I told you guys that every day I'm doing something to prep my home for whoever is here after the rapture. So let me show you what I did today. So it's just like a little flow chart. These are things like based on, you can't really see, but based on the, versus the seals or trumpets, this is what you need to be doing to.
It's not even worth showing you the rest of the clip because honestly, you're not going to be able to make heads or tails of it unless you are lost in that sauce. You know what I mean? These people voted. These people are running our government right now. 250 state lawmakers went to that country last week. The largest delegation that y'all also on the side of TikTok where Christians think the rapture's
here possibly within the next week, if not any day now. Don't forget to unlock your phone because I know a lot of people are writing letters or maybe even just doing things on their phone, like in the notes and whatever. Unlock your phone. Like I couldn't do that because I have bills to pay. I still need that information. So I just wrote my phone, my code on a piece of paper with a little message, and I took a picture of it and I made that the screensaver on my phone. I just want to encourage anyone who does believe in the rapture and you believe that it's going to happen soon to just be more bold about your faith. Wear your stuff like this, wear your Jesus shirts and all that. Pass out the little mini Jesus like I do that too. And I just bought more of them today. And I also actually bought a few Bibles today that are going to be coming tomorrow because I've been passing those out like left and right all day long, nonstop. I'll even just throw them on the ground at the gas station or put them at Walmart at the forget to
Israel has sacrificed the red heifer, the first step in the rituals of the coming of the new Messiah. Terrifying news out of Jerusalem this weekend as a red cow was sacrificed. This is the third time in history this has occurred, and the last time 2,000 years ago Jesus was born. Yes, this is kind of a big deal. Since the sacrifice has commenced in secret underground, by the way, they will begin rebuilding the third temple, which was last destroyed 2,000 years ago. But where they want to build the temple is now the third holiest site in Islam. So destroying this will attract a lot of attention from Muslim leaders, and some of them might do something. They have tried to bred these cows for over 30 years in the United States. And as the Jewish people are in Jerusalem, they have sacrificed a cow. All that is left for their Messiah to come back is building the temple. This stuff hasn't happened since 2,000 years ago, whenever Jesus came down. The only thing left is to destroy the third holiest site in Islam, the mosque in Jerusalem, and rebuild their temple. Israel
Anybody told me to. So whatever happened to the red cows that Netanyahu's supposed to sacrifice to bring his Messiah? I have a major update, but first, for those who don't know, Netanyahu is playing around with prophecy. He raised genetically modified cows in Texas to bring over to Blue State to sacrifice to bring a Messiah. Crazy but true, look it up. There's lots of websites dedicated to this, and South Park even did an episode on this, the ginger cow episode. So whatever happened to the ginger cows? One of them was recently discovered to have 2 black hairs on its entire body, found by rabbis with magnifying glasses, which is a blemish and disqualifies it. They use that cow in a practice run ceremony. They're serious about this. I hope their Indian allies don't find out about this because to them, cows are sacred. You really can't make this stuff up. Now remember, Netanyahu's Messiah is supposed to come prove that Jesus and the Prophet Muhammad were wrong and that he himself is the real Messiah. To Christians and Muslims both, this is the Antichrist. Their Messiah, Antichrist, is supposed to come and wipe us both out. So Netanyahu, while in the middle of a G-side, is actually trying to raise the Antichrist. So whatever happened to the...
Okay, I'm not going to lie. I am nervous about the rapture. If you grew up Pentecostal, or you're probably feeling that too, I hope. I hope I'm not the only one. I keep thinking, like, what if I'm wrong? What if they were right? What if I was lucky enough to be born in the right religion? And I just rejected it. Like, my entire childhood is just rapture trauma. It's the reason I can't plan ahead. It's the reason I can't save money. The rapture could come. And I knew from the moment I was born that I was not going to be among the elect. I was not going to get raptured because I was too far gone. When I was 5 years old, or whenever was the first I could remember, I guess 3.5, I remember hearing them talking about the rapture and thinking, well, I'm screwed. When I was a kid, I had all kinds of magical thinking where I would, like, if the breeze was blowing the curtain, I remember this so vividly, if the breeze was blowing the curtain a little.
Jesus is coming back September 23rd of 2025. The rapture is occurring September 23rd, 2025. So last I checked, he said no man will know. So y'all can rest assured, stay safe out there. Definitely not going to be September 23rd, 2025. If anybody ever tells you when the rapture is going to be, you can pretty much just guarantee it's not that day. So
yeah. Rapture tip number 5. When you finally start moving up into the air, I recommend that you don't hold on to anything. I definitely don't recommend looking down. I think we learned that lesson from Lot's wife. Okay. Just keep calm, take a deep breath, slowly release it, and keep your face looking upwards. And pray you're not on the toilet.
It's stupid stuff.
Guys, God came to me in a vision last night. And
Anyway, there's loads of these anyway. So yeah, it's
God, folks are nuts. But apparently somebody had a dream. I guess that's like the guy in Ghana that's building Noah's Ark. He said the 25th was when the flood's gonna happen. So
mark your calendars.
What can we do?
What can we do? And it didn't happen. So there's nothing we can do. It's now September 28th. I mean, I'd like to know what would happen, really. Like, but do you know what was interesting? The woman that said about the rapture trauma and growing up in a household that's so very heavily religious, and when you're bound, and how parents or your caregivers can use that as a weapon of control. Yeah. And whether or not they believe it or not, you are controlled mindlessly by the rules of the religion. Because I think the closest, like, not as deep as that, but it was for us is like the juju thing, and like, you know, that person's a witch, and that started to cloud some of my childhood growing up. My mum's kind of evangelical, like really going into that kind of religion side of religion, and going to the African churches, and then having someone say that, yeah, this person's a witch, that person's a witch, and the reason why your shit is suffering is because people back home are doing stuff to you, and going to witch doctors. So all of that then played into some of the upbringing, and there are definitely a bunch of African children who are traumatized by this level, and depending how ramped up your parents were about it, that was a thing. That's definitely a thing. So when she spoke about rapture trauma, I was like, wow. And we don't think about those Christian white families that are really like, with heavily Catholic, really like bound by certain rules.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I guess lots of the nationalists, like the Mormon Church, saving, like hoarding foods, having a bunker, that becomes so much a part of their lives for this day when the end of days comes along. It's like that's what they're always working towards, and doing things to be like the best Christian out there, because end of days is going to happen. I mean, we do have it. We all have it to certain degrees, even being not vengeful.
Yeah.
All of the things that takes place that we're not all out here seeking revenge is a part of Christian doctrine.
Yeah, it is. It's crazy. But the fact that people came, it's interesting, as you say, the cultism, how people can believe in stuff. That fear of like, just in case I'm wrong, as well, just in case I'm wrong. And even in the gut
of it all, of you know, and I do love watching people with their near-death experiences, but there are quite a few of them that it weren't all tunnel and light and seeing angels. Some of them are like, I literally was walking in hell, and I know I got to change my. So I see so many of those stories, and it is like, boy, I don't know what happens when you die. I don't know either way, and I'm not prepping life to be like I'm going to avoid hell. Whatever happens, in it. You just got to walk in how you're going to walk.
You've got to walk how you got to walk, because I mean, and then live righteous. To me, all you got to do is live righteous. Be true to yourself, and if you're true to yourself, then you possibly are then going to be true to everybody else. Destiny Love Media says, "Oh, I'm traumatized. My village people are still after me from the age of birth. So I was told by my Nigerian family." Them ones there, those ones that the reason why ABC hasn't happened because your great grandfather did a thing with a witch doctor, and now your whole family's cursed. It's like, how do you live? How do you continue to live with that on your back? So I'm not getting a job. I've not got a partner. I can't have kids. All these things because great grandfather decided to go and take a ritual out that is unbreakable. I mean, get out of here. I heard that too. I'm just like, well, no, you can't, because if you feed into it, words mean things, actions mean things. Yeah. So when you do like your power of nows and your kind of new way of thinking, like just not holding on to the past, you break those chains. That's how you break it, by living in the now, not holding on to past things, because you're manifesting it. That's literally, I think, 101, how to get rid of all of that stuff.
I think that is what a curse is. To people speaking things onto you accepting it, that is the manifestation of the curse. If you go into return back to sender tenfold, it's generally my default. Return back to sender tenfold. I don't know who sent it, what shit happened to them. But all I'm doing is rebuking.
Yeah.
The shits. Like, I'm not taking on your curse.
Yeah. And prayer and like positive speaking and just actualizing what your intention for your day, your life ahead. That's all you're in control of, the words that come out of your mouth and your actions that follow. That's all, really.
Yeah. I do also believe like vengeance like fire is freeing. Kevin and stuff. Thank you, Kevin. Kevin says basically aunties, they believe in the boogeyman.
100%. And that's one of the clips with like Sky Daddy, JC or Sky Daddy. It's like, and it is like Sky Daddy. Thank you so much, Kevin, for your constant contributions. You really understand the matter at hand, and I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Yeah, Sky Daddy. When you don't even know what you're worshiping, what you believe, especially when, like, not to knock Christians at all, blanket. But just some of you guys are just, do you even know what you're worshiping? Do you even know?
That there are some schools of people, and it's not like satanic or anything, who don't believe in going towards the light. Because they say you go towards the light and you're going to come back to earth again. You should actually go the opposite way, if anybody remembers this when they're dead, to do it. And that's how you don't become reincarnated again. I don't know. This is what I've heard happens, that don't go towards the light because you're coming back to earth. If you go the opposite way, you're not coming back to earth again. And then you're actually going to rest in peace. I don't know. Just sharing what I've heard.
Bruh. It's too much.
It's a bit annoying that you can't tell people, because when you're dead, innit? I would love that. To die and be able to say, no, this is what it is, guys. This is what happens. I would love to be able to do that.
And there's a reason, possibly there's a reason why we can't. I don't know. The whole world doesn't make sense, but definitely not listening to any prophet. And the thing is, for those of us who didn't, so good, like I said, they're leaving a manual for those who are left behind. So I'd be good then, because I don't want to. I would rather not be waiting in line, standing in a forest, screaming in a forest with a bunch of people. I don't want to do that. Let me be minding. Let us be in news and nonsense, and then the glow comes, or it doesn't, because at the end of the day, I'm left behind, and I'm going to be like, who's gone? All right, let me go knock and see whether they got left any money in their thing. If they left any kind of things that I can have for myself, go and have a little yard sale and all that stuff. Let it either go or I don't. If you lot have gone up there and you're the best people to be up there, then that's good. That means when my time to go up there is there, you should be there paving the way.
Some advocates.
Yeah.
My sister had a story or a dream that came to her, and Black people were able to leave here, and we were leaving en masse. It's like you'd go to water and something would happen, and then the Black people were evaporating. And so people were then, within the story that she was going to do, people were trying to capture Black people so that they could leave with them when they got to the water. But it wasn't happening. Like, Black people were just going. We were going to the next place. I could see that taking place in this Earth time. Like, I would not be surprised.
Maybe that's why they're trying to keep us. Maybe that's what they're trying to keep us suppressed, because they know that the minute. That's like, what's the other thing? Our ascension. What's the one that happens on always forget the date, the Black one.
Oh, on the 21st of December when we get our superpowers.
Yeah, we get our superpowers.
Yeah.
So all of that's gonna happen. That's gonna happen. I believe in that one. I'd rather stand outside.
I do believe in December the 21st. I can't lie. I believe each December the 21st I get a sprinkling of a little gift.
Yeah.
Just something else drops into my palate. A little bit more intelligence comes along every day the 21st.
I think collectively, Black people, we know that's the day to kind of work towards. It's a date. We're allowed to know the date. We all know it. That's the day we open our chakras, open our thought. Just sit down on the 21st and always have a moment with yourself. But that's where we get a little bit more enlightenment.
The beginning of the winter solstice, Black people get a little bit more superpowers. I believe it. I can't lie.
The more of us that believe in it, the more it will happen that we will have our own rapture. We will all ascend. Trust me. One day you're going to see all of us going,
yeah, and then we all elevate and go. I'm just saying, this is what people have been talking about. Like, it's why lots of people are infusing DNA or taking Black people's kidneys. There's a whole spate of people believing Black people truly are the chosen ones.
100%. We really are. It is what it is. Strike 22 says, why people got in their feelings with that December 21st thing? They got scared. They didn't know how to deal with it. And that's the thing. The more of that, every December 21st should be a national Black holiday. Not even a holiday, a Black day of awareness. That's what we should do. Take out your most knowledgeable book, and then you'll do your rituals, do anything. Even if you're praying, if you're doing whatever, bow down. Everybody do it on the 21st. That's when Black people should really be Black. All right, guys. Well, that has been News and Nonsense. We appreciate everybody that stuck with us this afternoon and contributed. And we appreciate our contributors to the Auntie's Coffee.
Let me get them all up. Look at that. And if anybody wants to get in the roll call, like while we're doing this and just add to it, you can do that right now. First up, we had Kevin gave us £5.
Chief donator. Thank you, man.
Share gifted 5 memberships. If you got a membership, please say thank you to Share as well.
Yes, thank you.
Kevin came back again and gave us another £5.
Thank you, Kevin. Thank you, Kevin.
We had Dame C come back with $10.
Thank you for your $10. Thank you so much.
Ashes gave us $19.99.
Thank you, sis. Appreciate you so much.
We had Bardi Gang come through with $9.99.
Yay, Bardi. It was working. We kept you company during your work. Have you got your work done? Thank you, Bardi, darling.
We have Rianne. She gave us £5 as well.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Rianne. Thank you.
And Kevin
came back with a little sprinkle on our pocket money. Thank you so much, Kevin.
Thank you, Kevin. Thank you so much. We really do.
Everybody. Really appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. Well, there we go. That's been our Sunday.
Yeah.
I'm about to go to the debut stage awards, and Nana's going to a party.
I'm going to a party. Literally, like one of my old friends that I used to rave with got a party on, so it'll be nice to see them.
Yeah.
Lovely jubbly. We'll be out shaking a foot,
and I'll be sitting there listening to awards and watching who wins.
Are they going to feed you?
Yes, it's a whole lunch and dinner. It's a whole dinner, so we're going to get 3-course meal. It's a stage debut awards. They're quite, prestigious, I guess. It's like the stage, and then you've got the Olivier's. I've never been to the Olivier's, but the stage debut. First time being invited. Let's see what it's like.
Lovely. Okay. All right. Thank you so much, guys. We will see
guys,
you
on a blessed Sunday. Bye.
Bye.
Like Strike's last comment.
What do you say? Partying on the Lord's Day. This is what I'm not getting back with. I know. I don't. Wherever you land is where you land.
Bye, guys.